Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Starship for All. Activate the Spear of Adon at the beginning. Chapter 61. At this moment, on the other side of the city, the Star God Society's troops also ended a nasty battle and finally obtained the magnetic card. The leading psyker also picked up the magnetic card. Looking at the mess around him, the psyker captain also let out a long sigh of relief. Tell the Pope that we have successfully recovered a magnetic card. Yes. One of the Star God Society members immediately reported the news to the Star God Society headquarters. At this moment, there was a sudden loud noise, and the door of the church was broken through by a Titan mecha. The Ronin Titan phased and came directly in front of the psyker captain. Before the opponent could react, Ronin Titan slashed him with his sword. Boom! With a loud noise, the psyker captain didn't even have time to mobilize the psychic energy in his body, and fell directly. When the psyker captain died, a pilot also jumped out of the Titan. He looked at the Star God Society psyker who was crushed in the ruins, and then took the magnetic card from his hand. Seeing this scene, many members of the Star God Society did not even have time to react. They only reacted when they saw the magnetic card was taken away. These guys are here for the magnetic cards. We must not let him take away the magnetic card. If we let him take it away, all our efforts will be wasted. Who are you? Don't you know the consequences of going against our star gods? Quickly inform the Pope. Where are these guys coming from? But before they could notify the Pope of the Star God Society, the tough man also directly entered the position of Titan Minister. Afterwards, the Ronin Titan directly phase shifted and disappeared into the church. Just when everyone thought the other party had escaped, several more Titans rushed in. But the grenade guns in the hands of these Titans already foreshadowed the consequences for these members of the Khatan. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosions sounded, and the entire church was razed to the ground. The pilot who took the magnetic card immediately reported the situation to Chu Zhong. Report to Captain. The magnetic card has been recovered. Very good. Now come to the coordinates I marked to meet. Receive. At this moment, in the headquarters of the Star God Society, as the leader of the Star God Society, the Pope is also sitting on the throne with his eyes closed and concentrating. At this moment, the Pope also opened his eyes. Why has it been so long and there is still no news from the front line? At this time, the two guards next to him also said very flatteringly, Your Holiness, please be patient and wait a moment. After all, those guys from the mechanicus have existed on this planet for thousands of years. They must have some trump cards that we don't know, and it will be a little troublesome to deal with them. But please rest assured, Lord Pope, victory will ultimately belong to our Star God Society. After hearing these words, the Pope also nodded with satisfaction. But at this moment, a member of the Star God Society hurried over. Seeing the other party being so panicked, the Pope couldn't help but feel a thump in his heart. Could it be that something went wrong with the plan? The guards on both sides also frowned. Why are you so worried? The Pope is in trouble. Our members of the Star God Society were attacked by an unknown force. The unknown force seems to be here for the magnetic cards as well. He took away all the magnetic cards we finally got. What? Someone actually dared to steal something from their Star God Association. The Pope was immediately furious. In order to fight for the magnetic card to enter the energy core area, he endured humiliation for decades. Now, it is difficult to achieve the goal. Unknown forces that came out of nowhere actually plundered all the fruits of his labor. How many magnetic cards did they steal? At this moment, the Pope tried his best to suppress the anger in his heart. He knows very well that he must stop his losses immediately, otherwise all his efforts will be in vain. Upon hearing this, the member of the Star God Society on the opposite side said tremblingly, all the magnetic cards have been taken away. Puff. At this moment, the Pope only felt as if there was a breath in his chest, and he would not be happy if he did not spit it out. But he calmed down quickly, took a deep breath, and then said coldly, Since the other party has obtained all the magnetic cards, he will definitely go to the energy core area. Pass my order and all the Skitari will be dispatched. Call all the guardians back, let's go to the entrance of the energy core area. I don't believe it. I won't be able to stop this shameless guy by then. At this moment, Chu Zhong is standing in a passage. In front of him, a metal door blocked the entire passage. Chu Zhong scanned the metal door, and then discovered that the metal door was made of stellar metal. Stellar metal, this powerful metal born in the sun, is strong enough to resist ship bombing without being damaged at all. At the same time, this metal door also has an alarm device inside. Once it is attacked by a huge external force, the alarm device will be triggered immediately. No wonder those people in the Star God Society would rather spend a lot of energy fighting for magnetic cards than think about storming the energy core area. Soon, many pilots also brought magnetic cards over. 10 magnetic cards correspond to the 10 grooves on the metal door. Chu Zhong also placed these magnetic cards in the grooves one by one. As the magnetic card activated the metal door, the door slowly opened, and heat waves spurted out from the crack in the door. At this moment, Chu Zhong opened the crystal compass again. I saw that the crystal compass no longer pointed downwards, which meant that I had reached the location of the legacy. Chu Zhong raised his wrist, and a layer of nanoscale armor also covered his body. After putting on the armor, Chu Zhong walked straight into the energy core area. Passing through a wide passage, Chu Zhong saw a bright light ahead. Running along the light, Chu Zhong walked out of the passage, and the scene in front of him was wide open. But at this time, he finally saw the legacy of the old human empire. 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships were moored in the dock below him. Around these Glory Queen-class battleships, a large number of mechanical priests are repairing these Glory Queen-class battleships. At this time, Chu Zhong also noticed that an energy transmission pipe was delivering energy to the Queen of Glory battleship. Where does this energy come from? Chu Zhong also looked towards the center along the energy transmission pipeline. When he saw the central building, he couldn't help but widen his eyes. The rumors are indeed true. In the center of this huge underground dock, a huge circular building attracted Chu Yang's attention. What attracted him was the item in the circular building, the Emperor's gene seed. I saw the Emperor's gene seed suspended in the air, exuding powerful energy to the surroundings all the time. This building extracts and transports the energy emitted by the Emperor's gene seeds to other places. The moment he saw the Emperor's gene seed, Chu Zhong understood. It turns out that the entire energy core area is where the Emperor's gene seeds are located. Looking at the dazzling Emperor gene seed in front of him, Chu Zhong couldn't help but sigh. He is indeed a legendary figure of the human race. Even if it is a gene seed, the energy it emits is as dazzling as the sun, and it is endless. Upon seeing this, Chu Zhong directly released the drone, approached the Emperor's gene seed, and scanned the data. When the drone approached the Emperor's gene seed, it also directly began to scan the Emperor's gene seed. Scanning target. Preliminary identification shows that the object is a high-energy item, and approaching it rashly may be life-threatening. Collecting energy substances to build the Emperor armor database. Captain, this item is a high-energy item. If you approach it easily, it may cause harm to your body. Please wait a moment while I build you armor that can withstand this item. Artificial Intelligence Friday also reminded Chu Zhong not to approach the Emperor's gene seeds rashly. The current Emperor's gene seeds are exuding extremely rich energy all the time. It is just like the sun. If you approach it rashly, your body will be easily harmed by the high concentration of energy substances. Chu Zhong also looked at the Emperor gene seed and thought to himself that it was indeed the Emperor gene seed. At this moment, a mechanical priest nearby also discovered Chu Zhong. Hey, guy over there, how did you get here? Isn't it time to change shifts yet? With that said, the mechanical priest also walked towards Chu Zhong. Fortunately, the mechanical priest on the opposite side didn't have much ill will towards Chu Zhong. Chu Zhong was wearing armor, and the mechanical priest opposite him also looked at him. Later, the mechanicus priest also said with some curiosity, "Your armor does not look like the style of our mechanicus. But you don't look like one of those fools from the Star God Society." After all, the mechanic priest did not feel the spiritual energy exclusive to the Star God Society in Chu Zhong. Otherwise, the mechanical priest would have launched an attack the moment he discovered Chu Zhong. And Chu Zhong also spread his hands and answered truthfully. The magnetic card that entered here was snatched from the hands of the Star God Society. And my purpose here is very simple. I want to take away the Emperor's gene seeds and these Glory Queen class battleships. Of course, if you stop me, I won't mind fighting with you. Chu Zhong did not hide his purpose at all, and at the same time he was prepared for the worst. If these mechanical priests of the mechanicus wanted to stop him, then he would not mind getting rid of the two forces of the Star God Society and the mechanicus at the same time. Unexpectedly, the mechanical priest opposite also looked solemn after listening to Chu Yang's words. Did you snatch your magnetic card from the Star God Society? So, does the Star God Society have already taken action? The real purpose of these guys is to gain control of the energy core area. With that said, the mechanical priest also summoned other mechanical priests, who gathered one after another to discuss how to deal with the Star God Society. Chu Zhong frowned slightly as he looked at the many mechanical priests. Aren't you going to organize me to seize the Emperor's gene seed? Upon hearing this, many mechanical priests also stopped their discussion and then looked at Chu Zhong. But the eyes they looked at Chu Zhong were full of smiles. One of the mechanical priests came out and explained to Chu Zhong. We, the mechanicus, were actually the Emperor's former subordinates. After the Emperor disappeared, we were detained on this planet. And our purpose here is very simple, that is, to protect the Emperor's genetic seeds and find his successor according to the Emperor's will. In other words, as long as you want to get the Emperor's gene seed, then go and get it. If the Emperor's gene seed recognizes you, even these Glory Queen class battleships will be yours. Hiss. It turns out that the biggest condition for obtaining the inheritance is to obtain the approval of the Emperor's gene seed. At this time, Chu Zhong released his right hand holding the crystal shard. He originally thought it would be a fierce battle, but he didn't expect that the conditions for obtaining the inheritance were so simple. What if the Emperor's gene seed doesn't recognize me? Deny. One of the mechanical priests smiled and said to Chu Zhong. Then you will be directly burned to ashes by the energy emitted by the Emperor's gene seeds. Moreover, if you cannot obtain the approval of the Emperor's gene seeds, those Glory Queen class battleships will not be used by you at all. Each Glory Queen class battleship has its own ship soul. If you don't obtain any, those ship souls will also not recognize you. Over the years, we have chosen many successors, but without exception, they were all burned to ashes. If you can obtain the approval of the Emperor's gene seed, it will relieve us of this constraint. As soon as these words came out, Chu Zhong finally understood. Why are these mechanical priests so relieved of themselves? For these mechanical priests, guarding these Glory Queen class battleships and the Emperor's gene seeds is also a constraint. The Emperor's gene seed will choose its own successors, and what they do is send one successor after another to it. However, for so many years, the Emperor's gene seeds have not chosen their own successors. They can only maintain the Glory Queen class battleship here year after year, and protect the Emperor's gene seeds. In that case, let me try it. After that, Chu Zhong flew straight towards the building where the Emperor's gene seed was located. The mechanical priests watched Chu Zhong leave without paying too much attention. Now, what they care about most are those guys from the Star God Society. If those guys from the Star God Society control the energy core area, then their mechanicum has completely lost control of the Rust Star. At this time, at the entrance of the passage, the Pope also came here with many members of the Star God Society. That guy's already in. Looking at the metal door that had been opened, the Pope of the Star God Society was also furious. He originally expected to get the magnetic card, but he was caught off guard by the mechanicus. Then he took the opportunity to control the energy core area, but unexpectedly an unknown force came out halfway. His plan has been disrupted, and now those guys from the mechanicus must have been more vigilant. And there was an unknown force in the middle, and all his original plans were disrupted. Now, all I can do is to use all my resources. Whether we can clear out the mechanicus and that unknown force and completely control the entire Rust Star depends on this battle. Great Star God, please bless your followers. We will definitely occupy the entire star and offer this star as a sacrifice to you, the Supreme One. Please give us the power to clear away all alienation. The Pope of the Star God Society stood in front of the metal gate and prayed to the Star God very devoutly. At this time, a faint shadow also appeared behind the Pope of the Star God Society. The faces of the surrounding Star God Society members also changed when they saw this scene. It is rumored that the Pope can communicate with the Star God and thus obtain the powerful power given by the Star God. Originally, many Star God Society members still had a slightly skeptical attitude. But they didn't expect that today the Pope of the Star God Society would directly perform a wave of in situ seance for them. As the phantom of the Star God submerged into the Pope's body, powerful spiritual power also burst out from the Pope's body. Now, it's time to take back everything that belongs to us. The Pope waved his hand, and powerful spiritual power instantly filled the entire tunnel. Many members of the Star God Society also felt that the spiritual power in their bodies seemed to be mobilized. For a time, a large number of psychics also rushed towards the end of the tunnel. At this time, Chu Zhong, who was heading to the location of the Emperor's gene seeds, also received news from Pilot. Report, Captain, the Star God Society's troops have arrived at the entrance. According to our preliminary observations, this time the Star Gods will have 10,000 psychic troops alone. At the same time, they also have a lot of mortal armed forces, and the follow-up troops are still entering the tunnel. Why? After hearing the pilot's report, Chu Zhong also narrowed his eyes slightly. Then, he immediately issued the order. Tell the mechanicus the news and ask them to pay attention. Receive. Under Chu Yang's order, an iron officer passed the news to the mechanical priests. When the mechanic priest heard about the size of the Star God Society's troops, he couldn't help but frown. 10,000 psyker troops, even more armed forces. According to our preliminary estimates, at least 100,000 armed troops are entering the underground city now. 10,000 psyker troops, 100,000 mortal armed forces. None of the mechanicus priests expected that the Star Gods would have cultivated so many psyker training teams and mortal armed forces. Although their mechanicum has lived on this planet for a long time. But since the disappearance of the old human empire, their mechanicus rarely manufactures war weapons. Their armed forces are still inadequate compared with the Star God. At this time, Tu seemed to see the embarrassment of the mechanical priests. Everyone, if you are afraid that you can't beat the Star God, you can consider us. Our captain tells me that as long as you are willing to join our fleet after the war is over, we can help you return to the Star God Club. How is this transaction? The fleet joined by Chu Zhong. Many mechanical priests glanced at each other first, and then said to Tai Yu, do you know who is the loyalty of our last time? It is the Emperor, and the Emperor of the glorious human empire day by hand. Although he is a human, he is not enough to reach the height of the Emperor. If we want to join his fleet, as long as he can get the recognition of the Emperor's gene seeds, we will join his fleet. After listening to the condition of the mechanical priest, Tai Yu also transferred the original words to Chu Zhong. And Chu Zhong also smiled slightly, promise them. After this time of observation, he also fancied these mechanical priests. These mechanical priests can also be regarded as a technical talent. If these mechanical priests can be turned onto their ships, they will definitely greatly increase their fleet logistics. They asked Chu Zhong to agree. If he is recognized by the Emperor's gene seeds, he can get the loyalty of Emperor's gene seeds, Queen Rongguang battleship, and mechanical divine religion at the same time. Of course, if it fails, Chu Zhong will be burned by the Emperor's gene seeds. There is no need to consider any loyalty. After conveying his own order, Chu Zhong also walked straight into the building where the Emperor's gene seeds were located. When he just walked in, a hot sensation rushed over. Looking up the sky, the Emperor's gene seeds hung in the air like a round of scorching sun. Around it, a large amount of energy extraction instruments are also running continuously. It is precisely because of these energy extraction instruments that the energy of the Emperor's gene seeds will not continue to spread. Friday, what is the production of armor? Report, Captain, Emperor's armor has been manufactured. But then, the artificial intelligence Friday also reminded Chu Zhong. Captain, the energy concentration of this high-energy object has exceeded the range I can detect. So the Emperor's armor may not be able to fully bear the power of it, and the captain can repeatedly consider it. Even the Emperor's armor, Zhao Hao, is only 90% of the chances of being able to withstand this power. 90%. Enough. After listening to these words, Chu Zhong also took the crystal fragments. How can there be no risk in interstellar navigation? The Emperor gene seeds in front of him. If you can get this Emperor's gene seeds, you can not only activate the spiritual energy and become a spiritual ability. Even you can get the 20s class Rongguang Queen class battleships, as well as the loyalty of the mechanical and divine religion. Compared with the successful rewards, this risk is also optional for Chu Zhong. Crystal fragments began to operate, and the Emperor armor was also transmitted to Chu Zhong through crystal fragments. After Chu Zhong changed to the Emperor armor, he also looked at the Emperor gene seeds above his head. In the next second, Chu Zhong rose into the air, and also flew straight towards the Emperor's gene seeds. The violent energy suddenly attacked Chu Zhong like a tide. Chu Zhong decisively activated the energy absorption function of the Emperor's armor. I saw a layer of light glowing on the Emperor's armor, and all the energy emitted by the surrounding Emperor's gene seeds was absorbed by the Emperor's armor. And these energies are transmitted to the Spear of Adon through the space crystal on the Emperor's armor. As a doomsday arc, the Spear of Adon requires an extremely huge amount of energy every day. This energy may be placed on an ordinary starship, and it can explode a starship in minutes. However, when placed on the Spear of Adon, the Spear of Adon can easily absorb these energies. Immediately afterwards, Chu Zhong also began to gradually get closer to the Emperor's gene seed. The Emperor's gene seed seemed to sense someone approaching, so even more violent energy burst out from the Emperor's gene seed. For a time, the energy extraction device of the entire building was also activated. A large number of energy extraction devices began to operate overload, and the light emitted by the Emperor's gene seeds also illuminated the entire underground dock. The mechanical priests also noticed the abnormal movement of the Emperor's gene seeds, and looked at the Emperor's gene seeds one after another. What a terrifying energy! I didn't expect that after we extracted the energy for so long, the Emperor's gene seeds still have such terrifying energy. I don't know if that young man can hold on. If he can get the approval of the Emperor's gene seed, we will be completely free. Oh, he is just an ordinary blue star human, not even a psyker. It's hard for me to see him. This is not necessarily true. You have to know that the Emperor who founded the human empire was also born as a human. Some mechanical priests are very optimistic about Chu Zhong and hope that Chu Zhong can be recognized by the Emperor's gene seed. In this case, they can also get rid of this planet and go to the endless star sea. However, some mechanical priests are not optimistic about Chu Zhong. Throughout the ages, they have searched for countless successors. But there is only one result for these successors, that is, they cannot withstand the energy of the Emperor's gene seeds and turn into ashes. Therefore, they believed that Chu Yang's fate was no better than those of his successors. At this time, an advance force also appeared at the entrance of the tunnel. The vanguard force of the Star God Society also came to this underground dock. When the vanguard troops saw the underground dock in front of them, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. Oh my god, BDCA, there is actually such a big space underground in the dungeon. This place is already close to the center of the earth. There is actually such a big dock under the dungeon. Good guy, these ships are actually S-class battleships, a total of 20. I knew that these heretics of the mechanicus who have been operating in the Rust Star for so many years must have some unknown background. Report the information here to the Pope quickly. Many members of the Star God Society in the Vanguard Force also quickly turned on their communication equipment, preparing to report the situation here to the Pope of the Star God Society. But at this moment, several pilots released their invisibility devices and appeared like ghosts around the Star God Society members. Those Star God Society members didn't even have time to react. The pilots took out a pistol and shot him to death directly. The movements are smooth, without any sloppiness. After killing all these Vanguard troops, these pilots also returned to the underground dock. These are just their Vanguard troops, and now they have probably received the news of the death of the Vanguard troops. I believe it won't be long before their main force will follow. We don't have much time, we must deploy our defense lines as soon as possible. Every pilot is an excellent warrior, and they are very analytical when commanding. The mechanical priests next to them also nodded. We basically stay in this underground dock all year round. So, we also set up a lot of mechanical traps here. Come with me, I'll tell you about the layout of these mechanical traps. As a result, the pilots and the mechanical priests also hit it off and began to set traps in the underground dock. At this time, the Star God Society troops on the other side also received news that the vanguard force had been completely destroyed. All members of the vanguard were killed, and they did not even collect any useful information. Seeing the news on the information panel that all the vanguard troops were killed, the Pope was also furious. A bunch of trash, they can't even do something as simple as letting them scout the energy core area. At this time, 10 slaves wearing black robes also came to the Pope's side. This psychic in black robes is the Pope's left protector. At the same time, he is also the most powerful psyker in the Star God Society besides the Pope. Sir Pope, if all the vanguard troops were killed so easily, the other party must have been prepared to deal with us. My opinion is, before they have much time to take measures to deal with us, directly dispatch the main force to crush them. If we continue to send vanguard troops there, it is estimated that it will be difficult to obtain some useful information. Speaking of this, the Pope also felt that it was somewhat reliable. Therefore, the Pope also waved his hand and directly assigned 1,000 psychers as the vanguard. The large army followed closely behind, and the Star God Society's troops also pressed directly towards the underground dock. 1,000 psychers soon arrived at the exit, but when they saw the scene in front of them, they couldn't help but be shocked. What a big dock! Unexpectedly, the next second, several turrets rose from the ground in the distance, and these turrets were directly aimed at the psyker troops at the exit. Boom, boom, boom. The fort directly turns on the bombing mode. One of the psychics reacted quickly and directly mobilized his psychic power to open a psychic shield in front of him. The other psychers also reacted instantly. For a time, the tunnel exit was engulfed in flames. After the flames dissipated, only 300 of the 1,000 psychics were still standing unharmed. Most of the other psychers were killed or injured because they did not react. There's an ambush. At this time, the forts were loaded again and aimed at the tunnel exit. Boom, boom, boom. Another salvo of artillery fire. But at this moment, Protector Zuo also stepped forward, and powerful spiritual power burst out. The cannonballs that were still advancing were now stagnant in the air under the control of Zuo Guardian's psychic power. Go! Guardian Zuo waved his hand, and several cannonballs directly turned around and attacked the fort. Along with a series of bombing sounds, these forts were also blown up by the artillery fired by themselves. Oh, do those rats of the Mechanicum only know how to make these ridiculous traps? As soon as the Zuo Guardian took action, all the forts were destroyed. This move instantly greatly boosted the morale of the Star God Association. Without the threat of the fort, many psyker troops of the Star God Society also entered the underground dock. Looking at the huge battleship in the dock, Guardian Zuo was also a little surprised. I didn't expect that there would be so many huge battleships in this energy core area. Looking at the quality of these battleships, they must be at least A-class battleships and above. If these battleships can be brought under the command of our Star God Guild, wouldn't our Star God Guild be able to expand into the endless Star Sea? At this time, there was a rustling sound coming from around. Hearing this voice, Protector Zuo immediately became alert. Boom! The next second, a huge roar sounded. What followed was the screams of many psychers from the Star God Society. Before Guardian Zuo could react, several strange figures appeared on the Glory Queen class battleship. Guardian Zuo looked over and saw several mechanical spiders carrying a concentrated bomb. The moment it saw Guardian Zuo, the mechanical spider sped directly towards him. At the same time, the bomb on it also exploded. Boom, boom, boom. Several self-destructing spiders attacked Guardian Zuo at the same time, and Guardian Zuo had almost no time to react. In an instant, endless flames surrounded Guardian Zuo. However, when the flames dissipated, Protector Zuo stood there unharmed. At this moment, the camera hidden in the dark also passed this picture to the mechanical priests. It seems that this guy is the protector of the Star God Society. So many self-destructing spiders didn't kill him. If he was really so easily dealt with by us, he wouldn't be able to become the protector of the Star God Society. The guardian of the Star God Society is a powerful psyker second only to the Pope. How could he be killed by a mere bomb? We don't have psychics here. With these mechanical products alone, it's probably difficult to fight against the Star Gods. These mechanical priests also know very well that their machines may be able to catch those psychers off guard during a sneak attack. However, once they react completely, it will be difficult for these mechanical products to cause harm to them. But at this time, the pilot commander next to him said very calmly, "Are there psychers? We have them here too." "What? We also have psyker troops here. Where are our psyker troops? If there are psychic troops participating in the battle, then our shortcomings will be completely made up for." Unexpectedly, Captain Chu Zhang actually has a psyker unit under his command. I underestimated him at first. What are you waiting for? Our trap can't hold off those psyker troops for long. The pilot commander also smiled slightly and told the mechanical priests not to worry. He had already laid an ambush, waiting until these Star God Society troops stepped into the trap. Those psyker troops will naturally show up. And the psyker troops mentioned by Commander Pilot are naturally those fanatic troops. He has set up a crystal tower in a hidden place in the underground dock. After owning the crystal tower, those fanatics can jump to the underground dock at any time and become ministers. But this is not enough. He must bring all the troops of the Star God Society into the underground dock, and then activate the jump function of the crystal tower. By that time, it will be a real game of catching a turtle in a jar. Boom! Another explosion sounded, but this time there was no scream. These psyker troops have increased their vigilance, and the self-destructing spiders that rely on sneak attacks to self-destruct have lost their intended effect. Many psychers of the Star God Society opened psychic shields around themselves, and the self-destructing spiders could not get close at all. These heretics have so many tricks. Any means is a piece of cake in front of our powerful psychic power. I wonder where those heretics are hiding now. Don't worry, when all our troops arrive, it will be their end. Without the trap set by the mechanicus, many follow-up troops also entered the underground dock one after another. In the end, the Pope of the Star God Society also entered the underground dock. Is this the core energy area? I have worked hard for so many years, and finally I am here. The Pope of the Star God Society looked around, and finally his eyes fell on the Emperor's gene seeds. Is this the biggest secret of the entire Rust Star? No wonder Rusty Star has been able to maintain a high-intensity operation mode for so many years. It is precisely because of the supplement of the Emperor's gene seeds that the current Rust Star can transform from a barren planet to a prosperous planet now. At this moment, a voice sounded in the ears of the Pope of the Star God Society. Go and destroy that Emperor's gene seed for me. At any cost, it must not be allowed to continue to exist in this universe. When the Pope of the Star God Society heard this voice, he seemed to be half possessed. Then, the Pope of the Star God Society also waved his hand. Everyone listen to my order and destroy that gene seed immediately. That gene seed is an evil thing. If you continue to let it exist, it will only harm us. Whoever can destroy it at any cost, I will grant him the position of protector. As soon as these words came out, both the mortal troops of the Star God Society and the psychic troops became excited. The positions in the Star God Society are not just as simple as positions. The higher the position, the more powerful the psychic power you can obtain. Members of the Guardian-level Star God Society, their spiritual power is second only to the Pope. The dual temptation of power and power, for a moment everyone turned their attention to the Emperor's gene seed. Although I don't know why the Pope destroyed this gene seed. But the order has been issued, all they have to do is execute it. For a time, the purpose of the entire Star God Society members also changed. All the members of the Star God Society also want to surround the central building. Seeing the actions of these members of the Star God Society, the mechanical priests of the mechanicus were also stunned. What's wrong with this Pope of the Star God Society? Isn't his goal to control the entire energy core area? Why do you suddenly change your focus to gene seeds now? The pilot commander next to him also frowned, and he couldn't figure out why the Pope of the Star God Society suddenly changed his goal. However, there is no time for them to hesitate now. We can't let these guys get close to the energy tower in the center. The captain is still conducting trials inside. If these guys disturb the captain's trials, it will be troublesome. This Star God Society Pope doesn't play by the rules either. We can't wait any longer. Activate the crystal tower. For a time, the crystal towers hidden in every corner of the underground dock were also activated. With the activation of the crystal tower, the figure of the fanatic also appeared in the underground dock. The Pope of the Star God Society also noticed the energy fluctuations of the crystal tower. "Everyone, be careful, I sense something is activated." Hearing these words, many Star God Society psychers were also a little disdainful. What other methods can these heretics of the mechanicum use? Whether it's artillery or self-exploding spiders, such traps can't cause much harm to them now. They are powerful psychers, but at this moment, a fanatic appeared on the battleship, looking down at the many Star God Society psychers below him. And the psychers of the Star God Society also discovered the zealots. Who? Brush. Before the psycher on the other side could react, the fanatic rushed towards him with lightning speed. The psychic blades popped out from both arms. Facing the psychic shield opened by the psychic, the fanatic broke through it with one blow. The psychic shield shattered, and the Khatan psychers' eyes widened. How can it be? Their psychic shields can even block artillery attacks. But facing the attack of the fanatics, their psychic shield is as fragile as paper. Poof! Blood splattered as the zealot directly killed a Star God Society psycher. When the surrounding mortal armed forces saw this scene, they couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. However, they reacted quickly and immediately aimed their guns at the fanatics. Bullets are fired, but the fanatic has a certain ability to predict the future. The movement trajectories of these bullets are clearly visible in the eyes of enthusiasts. The fanatic moved slightly, and several bullets passed by him. He dodged all the bullets with great ease, and then slashed out with one blow. The heads fell to the ground, and the mortal armed forces also fell on the spot. What's going on with these monsters? They're psychers too. Help! What's going on? Our bullets can't hit these guys at all. Where did these monsters come from? For a moment, many psychers from the Star God Society panicked. The psychic power they are so proud of is simply vulnerable to real psychics like the zealots. Zealots' psychic powers are integrated into one, and their use of psychic powers is as natural as eating and drinking. The psychers of the Star God Society are just borrowing the psionic power of others. Just from the use of their spiritual power, the fanatics are enough to crush these members of the Star God Society. The screams kept rising and falling one after another. Guardian Zuo was also surrounded by many fanatics. Who the hell are you? Facing Protector Zuo's inquiry, the fanatics had no desire to talk to him. Brush. One of the zealots attacked Zuo Dharma Protector, and the other zealots followed closely behind. Looking at the battlefield, the fanatics were showing off their power, and many mechanical priests were also wide-eyed. These are the psycher troops you're talking about. Aren't they the fanatic troops of the Protoss? When did they defect to your command? Hiss. Captain Chu is really a magical human being. He can actually drive fanatics to fight for him. Many mechanical priests also recognize these fanatics as troops belonging to the Protoss tribe. But I don't know why, they are fighting for Chu now. Their understanding of Chu Zhong has been refreshed again. This blue star human named Chu Zhong not only has a powerful and elite military force at his command. In addition, he can also drive Protoss fanatics to fight for him. What magical powers does he have? Can actually gather so many elites. At this time, some mechanical priests also quietly changed their minds. It might also be a good choice to hang out with a young man like Chu Zhong. And at this moment, the psycher troops of the Star God Society were retreating steadily under the constant pursuit of the fanatics. Moreover, the mortal armed forces suffered heavy losses. Seeing this scene, the Pope of the Star God Society was also a little panicked. Where did these psychers come from? Brush. At this moment, a cold light suddenly appeared. The next second, the right protector who had been hiding beside the Pope also revealed his figure. A special alloy long knife also blocked the attack of the fanatics. These fanatics have actually reached the Pope. When the right protector deflected the sharp blade that attacked the Pope, and said with a solemn expression, "Your Majesty the Pope, these guys are too strong." Guardian Zuo couldn't hold on any longer and was killed by them. Our troops have also suffered heavy losses. Sir Pope, we should retreat. Retreat. The Pope of the Star God Society could not believe that the Star God Society under his command had an absolute advantage just a few minutes ago. But just by the appearance of those strange psychics, his troops were defeated like an avalanche. Could it be that the plan that I have been working on for several years has to stop here today? The right protector next to him struggled to repel the fanatics, and then came to the Pope's side. Your Majesty the Pope, we have no time to hesitate. If we don't retreat now, we won't even have a chance to escape. As soon as he finished speaking, Protector Right suddenly felt an invisible force choking him to death. His eyes widened with disbelief. The person who attacked him was the Pope to whom he had always been loyal. At this moment, the mysterious shadow appeared behind the Pope again, and the Pope's eyes became extremely empty. I have already said that the Emperor's gene seed must be destroyed at all costs. The empire of mankind only needs to rise once. We can't give humans a chance to rise. The battle for ascension once was enough. At this moment, the Pope said some strange words. The right protector didn't know whether it was the Pope who was speaking now or the shadow behind him. He only felt that the spiritual energy in his body began to boil at this moment. My body felt like it was in a sea of fire. At this moment, the Pope's eyes were fixed on the imperial gene seed, and a huge spiritual power burst out from his body. I didn't expect that after so many years, you remnants of humanity and the remnants of the stars would actually unite. However, what has happened before will never happen again. Snapped. I saw the Pope holding a scepter and stabbing it into the ground. For a moment, huge spiritual energy burst out from the Pope's body. This huge psychic power even alerted the mechanical priests hiding in the dark. When the mechanical priests saw the Pope in front of them, they couldn't help but take a breath. Hiss! What a powerful psychic power! This is no longer a power that ordinary psychics can release. Such a powerful psychic power, I even doubt whether the Pope standing there is himself. This power is not something that the Pope of the Star God Society can unleash. That's right, if he really has such a powerful power, as of today, he would be able to crush us all with just this amazing psychic power. It was obvious that the person standing there now was no longer the former Pope of the Star God Society. The Pope's body is now occupied by an unknown psychic creature. The powerful psychic power possessed by this creature made them feel an indescribable sense of suffocation. Brush. Suddenly, the right protector's whole body burned with a layer of blue flames. The flames burned continuously, and in an instant, the entire body of the right protector was enveloped. When the flames dissipated, the original right protector had disappeared. Instead, there was a strange creature with a body of blue flames. At this moment, a fanatic also seized the opportunity and ejected the psychic blade from his arms and swung it directly towards the right protector. But the next second, the psychic blade passed directly through the body of the right protector. The right protector raised his hand, and then, a powerful psychic force acted on the fanatic's body, sending him flying away. The Pope waved his scepter, and the psykers who had died automatically began to burn at this moment. When the flames dissipated, those original psychics were all transformed into a large number of pure energy bodies composed of psychic power. Seeing the psyker in front of them transformed into this kind of energy creature, the mechanical priests couldn't help but take a breath. I am now certain that the Pope of the Star God Society is definitely a fake. Hearing this, Commander Tai also asked curiously, "How do you know that the Pope of the Star God Society in front of you is fake?" And many mechanical priests also said solemnly, "First of all, the Pope of the Star God Society definitely does not have such powerful spiritual power. Moreover, the Pope of the Star God Society will not activate the psychic power in those church members and force them to burn their lives and turn them into psychic creatures. Now these Star God Society psykers have been ignited with the psychic power in their bodies. Once the psychic power is ignited and run away, they will turn into energy composed of psychic testicles. Things. Normally psychics will never use this method unless they are in danger of dying together. Now, these psykers of the Star God Society have all turned into psionic creatures. Psychic creatures have no entity and are completely constructed of energy bodies. They are very difficult to deal with. As expected, after all these psychics were burned and transformed into psychic creatures, it became very difficult for the fanatic troops to fight. After all, the bodies of these psychic creatures are built from psychic abilities. Their attacks hardly damage them. Even if you use psychic power, the damage caused to it is limited. But these psychic creatures are different. After transforming into psychic creatures, their control over psychic power has increased a lot. For a time, the psychic creatures and the fanatics were also in a stalemate. Upon seeing this, the mechanical priests also quickly said, "Should we retreat first? These psychic creatures are just a group of energy bodies, and sooner or later they will burn out. We are now confronting them head-on, and there will inevitably be casualties. It's better to retreat a little now and consume their vitality first." But as soon as these words came out, they were directly rejected by Commander Pilot. If they retreat now, those psychic creatures will definitely transfer their targets to the energy tower. Now that Chuzhong is still inside, once they retreat, won't Chuzhong be besieged by those psychic creatures? While everyone was still struggling, Commander Pilot also said, "It looks like we have to use our last trump card. The final trump card." After hearing these words, the mechanical priests who had originally planned to give up also set their sights on the pilot commander. Do they have other trump cards besides these Protoss fanatics? Then what are you waiting for? What other trump cards are there? Now is the time to use them. One of the mechanical priests also kept urging. The Iron Control commander also immediately sent a distress signal to the Spear of Adon. Chuzhong had reminded him before that it was best not to use your last trump card unless it was absolutely necessary. Only if you have enough trump cards can you have the capital to make a comeback in desperate moments of battle. Now, it's obviously time to use your trump card. The signal shot up into the sky, and the Spear of Adon also received the signal. Ding! Receiving surface signals. Signal reception completed. Third backup plan is being activated. Alternate plan activated, activating the hibernation cabin. The backup plan is activated, the signal has been sent. At this moment, in the Emperor's church in the Spear of Adon, many battle nuns were praying to the Emperor's statue in front of them. At this moment, one of the battle sisters received a signal from the Spear of Adon. After seeing this signal, the battle sisters who were still praying also stood up. At first, Chu Zhongzi told them, when he needs the battle sisters to rush to the battlefield, he will send a signal to the battle sisters. And now, it is time for these battle nuns to rush to the battlefield to fight. Sisters, the captain needs our help. Now, it's time to put on our armor and crush those enemies. Yes, many battle nuns also put on power armor and came to the transfer room of the Spear of Adon. The teleportation room can instantly jump them to the location of the crystal tower, allowing them to join the battlefield immediately. At this moment, in the underground dock, the fanatics were retreating steadily under the constant attacks of psychic creatures. The Pope also drove these psychic creatures to gradually approach the location of the energy tower. When the mechanical priests saw this scene, their hearts tightened. How long will it take for our support to arrive? Now these monsters have begun to approach the energy tower range. What should we do? Should we retreat first? Many mechanical priests couldn't help but feel nervous when they saw that the Protoss fanatics were at a disadvantage. But at this moment, the crystal tower gave off a dazzling light. Powerful space energy is also generated around the crystal tower. The Pope seemed to feel the activation of the crystal tower, and couldn't help but look at the location of one of the crystal towers. Suddenly, a tall and sacred figure rose into the sky. A powerful spiritual energy gathered around him, and endless spiritual energy surrounded his fingertips like lightning. Seeing this figure, the mechanical priests couldn't help but widen their eyes. This is the high-level Templar of the Protoss tribe. As soon as he finished speaking, a high-level Templar warrior condensed a psychic sphere with one hand. Whoosh! The next second, this psychic magic ball went straight towards the psychic creature and attacked. Boom! The psychic magic ball exploded directly, and the powerful psychic power rippled out like ripples. I saw those psychic powers hitting the body of the psychic creature, and the psychic creature composed of energy crystals exploded immediately. The high-level Templar directly used his own psychic energy to detonate the psychic power in the psychic creature. For these psychic creatures, high-level Templars who are proficient in psychic manipulation are simply their nemesis. Boom, boom, boom. Several high-level Templar warriors also rose into the air. The psychic sphere containing psychic power struck those psychic creatures like a rainstorm. One after another, the psychic energy in their bodies was detonated, turning into a wisp of energy and dissipating into the air. Seeing this scene, many mechanical priests were also ecstatic. Unexpectedly, Captain Chu Zhang can not only control the Protoss fanatics, but also the high-level Templars. The high-level Templars' control over psychic energy is a natural nemesis against these psychic creatures. These psychic creatures are simply vulnerable to high-level Templar warriors in combat. Is this the trump card? Captain Chu Zhang said. Now, the Pope of the Star God Society will probably be dumbfounded. He did not hesitate to burn the spiritual energy of all the members of the Star God Society, and the psychic creatures he created are now simply vulnerable to high-level Templar warriors. The ability of high-level Templars to control and perceive psychic powers is not comparable to that of ordinary psychers. They only need to use their own psychic power to easily activate the subtle psychic power flowing in the air, thus creating psychic ripples. These high-level Templars should not be too relaxed when dealing with psychic creatures, which are completely composed of psychic power. Not long after, a large number of psychic creatures were detonated by high-level Templars. The air is filled with a large amount of psychic power, which is the psychic power that spreads in the air after the explosion of psychic creatures. The Pope of the Star God Society was also furious when he saw that the psychic creatures he had finally created were being eliminated one after another. You remnants of the stars, there are still so many of you here. The Pope of the Star God Society mobilized the psychic power in his body and attacked one of the high-level Templar warriors. But at this moment, a cold light suddenly appeared in front of the Pope of the Star God Society. When a power sword struck directly on his psychic shield. The battle nuns wielded power swords and slashed at the Pope's psychic shield. The powerful power swords exploded with astonishing destructive power. The Pope's psychic shield began to become transparent after several blows from the battle sisters. The Pope was besieged by several battle nuns. These battle nuns used power swords, overwhelming the Pope without any ability to fight back. Seeing this scene, many mechanical priests also opened their mouths. Is this a battle sister? The daughters of the Emperor, the battle nuns, how come they are also under Chu Yang's command? Is Chu Zhang really the human chosen by the Emperor? Many mechanic priests watched as the battle sisters demonstrated their formidable fighting abilities. As a powerful psyker, the Pope of the Star God Society had no ability to fight back despite the siege of many battle sisters. The Pope opened his psychic shield, but it was nothing more than. It's just hard work. Except for the Pope, those psychic creatures have been almost eliminated at this moment. Many high-level Templars also used their own psychic spheres to clear away the remaining psychic creatures. Snapped. At this moment, the Pope's psychic shield was shattered. One of the battle nuns seized the opportunity and stabbed the Pope in the heart with one blow. The Pope let out a scream, and then powerful spiritual power burst out from his body. The powerful psychic power burst out, directly blowing many battle nuns away. The seriously wounded Pope stood there, his eyes filled with hatred for these battle nuns. Battle sister, High Templar, good, very good. I thought Terra and Al had been completely destroyed, but I didn't expect there were so many remnants left. But today, you will all die here. I will never allow humans and stars to rise again. As soon as he finished speaking, powerful spiritual energy burst out from his body. At this moment, the Pope's body also turned into ashes. When the dust fell to the ground, everyone looked at the empty and messy underground dock. Is this the end? At this moment, the energy tower behind everyone also made a strange movement. In the energy tower, Chu Zhang approached the Emperor's gene seed step by step. At this moment, the Emperor armor on his body is close to full capacity and may be scrapped at any time. Once the Emperor's armor is scrapped, the energy emitted by the Emperor's gene seeds is enough to burn it to ashes in an instant. But at this moment, he is the last step away from the Emperor's gene seed. At this moment, the Emperor's statue in the Emperor's church also glowed faintly. An invisible force also came directly to Chu Zhang. And Chu Zhang also grasped the Emperor's gene seed, and the Emperor's gene seed directly turned into a stream of energy and sank into Chu Yang's body. At this moment, memories like a flood poured into Chu Yang's mind. These memories are the memories of the Emperor's past. Now, Chu Zhang has obtained the Emperor's gene seed, and of course he has also obtained all the Emperor's memories. I don't know how long it took before Chu Zhang woke up from the chaos. At this time, he still felt that his mind was dizzy. He never expected that in addition to the Emperor's spiritual power, this Emperor's gene seed also contained all the memories of the Emperor's life. The memories that once belonged to the Emperor have now come to Chu Yang's mind. Chu Zhong was not able to consume such a huge memory for a while. But now, he at least knows one thing. That's why the once glorious Star Spirit tribe was destroyed. Why did the human empire suddenly disappear during its most prosperous period? And all this, from beginning to end, there is an invisible big hand behind it. These masterminds all have a unified name, Star God. That's right, it is the God that the Star God Club believes in. The Star God really exists. Moreover, it was these Star Gods who single-handedly caused the fall of the entire human emperor and the Star Spirit clan. Chu Zhong took a deep breath, and his eyes became extremely deep. He knows too many things, and those Star Gods will not let him go easily. However, when Chu Zhong embarks on the journey of interstellar navigation, he is destined to have a confrontation with the Star God. Chu Zhong walked out of the energy tower, and at this time, many pilots were waiting at the door early. Looking at the mess in the underground dock, Chu Zhong also frowned slightly. Have the members of the Star God Society been eliminated? Chu Zhong looked around and also discovered the existence of high-level Templar warriors and battle nuns. After seeing Chu Zhong coming out, the two of them also came to Chu Zhong one after another. Report to Captain that all enemies have been killed according to your instructions. At the same time, we also successfully killed the enemy's leader. But what's strange is that the surrounding psychic powers still haven't collapsed. It seems that there are still people controlling these psychic powers. I can feel that there is an invisible force controlling these forces. The high-level Templars also noticed the abnormalities in these psychic powers. And Chu Zhong could also detect at this moment that there was a very strong spiritual power in the air. After receiving the Emperor's gene seed, Chu Zhong also transformed into a psyker. Although his spiritual power has just been awakened, he is not yet able to use it as flexibly as a high-level Templar. But now he can feel the spiritual power in the air. Feeling the spiritual power in the air, Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. Perhaps our real enemy has not been solved yet. Ever since he learned about the existence of Star God, Chu Zhong knew it very well. There must be an inseparable connection between the Star God Society and the Star Gods. The Star God who once destroyed the human empire and the Star Spirit tribe would never be killed so easily. As expected, just when Chu Zhong was about to activate these Glory Queen class battleships, the psychic power in the surrounding air also increased rapidly. At the same time, the entire Rust Star fell into chaos. The psychic who was walking on the street suddenly fainted and fell to the ground. The spiritual power in his body was also extracted, and then gathered towards the sky. The entire Rust Star can be seen, a large amount of spiritual power gathered into an entity, converging towards the sky like dots of starlight. What's going on? What are those things in the sky? You ask me, who am I asking? What about those who fell? Why do I have another ominous premonition? Look at the sky. With a passerby exclaiming, everyone looked to the sky. I saw a huge psychic creature in the sky appearing in the sea of stars outside the T2 star. Its size is extremely huge, even half of its body is as big as a Rust Star. When everyone saw such a huge creature appearing outside the Rust Star, everyone was filled with panic. At this time, Chu Zhong also brought everyone to the surface. When they saw all the psychic power gathered into a huge psychic creature, even the mechanical priests widened their eyes and couldn't believe the scene before their eyes. Those guys from the Star God Society are simply haunting. What should we do next? We in Rust Star do not have a convoy fleet. That's right, Rusty Star is located in the Sangui area, so we haven't established a guard team. Chu Zhong looked at the huge psychic creatures that gradually solidified in the sky. It seems that the Star God behind the Star God Association has already made a plan. Since the Emperor's gene seed cannot be destroyed, then destroy it together with the star where the Emperor's gene seed is located. But unfortunately, Wang's Chu Zhong also successfully inherited the seeds. After Chu Zhong inherited the Emperor's gene seed, he also learned that there was a huge murder weapon hidden in the core area of the Rust Star. This star was built by the Emperor together with the Adeptus Mechanicus. But when building this Rust Star, the Emperor also left a backup plan. This backhand is only known to a few mechanical priests at the core of the mechanicus. And these mechanical priests gradually disappeared over the years. Now, the only person who knows the secret weapon of Ruststar is Chu Jong. Mechanical priests, now you should fulfill your promise and be loyal to me. And the first task I give you now is to evacuate all the people into the underground city. It takes a certain amount of time for the psionic star god to gather his psionic power. While you're at it, just do as I say. After hearing Chu Yang's words, many mechanical priests also looked at each other. At this time, they also remembered. They had said at the beginning that if Chu Jong could successfully obtain the approval of the Emperor's gene seed, they are willing to be loyal to Chu Jong. Now, Chu Jong has obtained the Emperor's gene seed approval as agreed. Moreover, in the process of fighting against the Star God Society, many mechanical priests also saw Chu Yang's strength. Chu Jong not only has powerful human troops, but also has the allegiance of the Protoss. Even the former emperor could not force the Protoss to serve him. Chu Jong has shown his unlimited potential in the future. As long as he can overcome this difficulty, he will definitely shine in the entire Star Sea in the future. After thinking for a moment, one of the mechanical priests also immediately pointed out the center. We will definitely complete the mission, Captain Chu. Seeing this, the other mechanical priests expressed their opinions one after another. Seeing that the mechanical priests began to evacuate civilians, Chu Jong also looked at the pilot troops. As for you, your goal is to reach the Spear of Adon. Before I am fully prepared, you are responsible for attracting the attention of the psychic star god. Receive. Both the pilots and the Protoss followed Chu Yang's orders without hesitation. After the division of labor was clear, Chu Jong also raised his arm. Nanoscale armor also covered his whole body in an instant. Afterwards, Chu Jong also flew directly towards a certain place in his memory. When Chu Jong came to a church of the Mechanicum, he couldn't help but sigh. Once upon a time, the Church of the Mechanicum, the first church established in the Rust Star, has now become so dilapidated. This Mechanicus is located in the suburbs, surrounded by desolation. And this church looks like it has been forgotten for a long time. When he opened a stone tablet in front of the church, Chu Jong also chuckled. This monument was cast to commemorate the first Mechanicum church. Today, this church, the first church of the Mechanicum in history, has become dilapidated. Chu Jong directly opened the door and walked in. In the center of the church, Chu Jong found a control panel. After brushing off the dust on it, the password set by Emperor Huang clearly appeared in Chu Yang's mind. Chu Jong entered the password and the ground sank. Following the sinking ground, Chu Jong came to an underground space. After sleeping for hundreds or even thousands of years, the entire underground space is still spotless. Rumble. The roar of machinery rang in his ears. Chu Jong opened the door and came to the core area of this underground space. At the same time, it is also the core area of the entire Rust Star. That's right, this is the core control area of the entire Rust Star. The operation of the entire Rust Star's parts is controlled through this core control area. However, except for the original group of mechanical priests and the Emperor himself, no one in this core control room knew of its existence. And everyone, even the current mechanical priests, believe that the daily changes in the Rust Stars are an automatic law of the stars. But in fact, these are all because the Emperor initially set up a circulation system in the control system of the Rust Star. Every 12 hours, the circulatory system will start, and the entire Rust Star will begin to change. Now, everything is in the hands of Chu Jong. Only he, who inherited the Emperor's memory, knew the existence of this control center. Only he can truly control the entire Rust Star now. Activating the star system, please enter the administrator password. The password is entered correctly. Welcome to use the star system. With the input of the password, the entire Rust Star control panel also appeared in front of Chu Jong. Looking at the unfamiliar and cumbersome control panel in front of him, it was obviously the first time that Chu Jong saw it, but he could easily operate the control panel. Chu Jong constantly called up the control authority of various areas of the Rust Star. As he gradually became familiar with the control system, he couldn't help but admire the former emperors and mechanical priests. They were actually able to create such a magical star. The Rust Star is not only a mechanical star, it is also a star-killing weapon set by the Emperor. Starting Star Destroyer mode. Please put in energy material to activate the Star Destroyer mode. Following the prompts from the control system, a groove also appeared in front of Chu Zhang. Obviously, he needs to store high energy matter into this groove in order to activate the Star Destroyer system. However, the only high energy material in the entire Rust Star is the Emperor's gene seed. Now, the Emperor's gene seed has been taken away by him. To activate the Star Destroyer mode, the energy required is also very large. With only 680 energy stored in the Rusty Star on weekdays, it is estimated that it will still be difficult to activate the Star Destroyer mode. After thinking for a moment, Chu Zhang also looked at his arm. He took off an armored bracelet from his arm. And this armor bracelet is the Emperor armor used by Chu Zhang. Now in the Emperor's armor, it also stores a large amount of energy emitted by the Emperor's gene seed. I wonder if this energy can activate Star Destroyer mode. Now, we can only treat a dead horse as a living horse doctor. Putting the bracelet armor into the groove, Chu Zhang also started the Star Destroying mode again. Star Destroyer mode started successfully. Charging. 0%, 5%, 10%. As charging started, Chu Zhang also began to mobilize the entire mechanical star. At this moment, on the streets of the mechanical city, many mechanical priests are also evacuating people into the underground city. You must know that once the psychic star god launches an attack, the first to suffer will be the buildings on the surface. Just like they hide in a dungeon, with the upper mechanical city blocking them, they can also avoid a certain amount of damage. However, the biggest problem now is that there are only a few elevators leading to the underground city. In order to isolate the connection between the mechanical city and the underground city, the Star God Society also cut off most of the passages. Now, most of the people gathered in front of the passage, waiting for the elevator to transport them back and forth. But this efficiency is too slow. At this time, the ground shook, and the ground cracked from the middle, and a passage appeared in front of everyone. This passage leads directly to the underground city. After everyone saw it, they felt happy, as if they saw the hope of survival. There is a passage here, everyone, get down quickly. Watching the crowd gradually reaching the underground city, many mechanical priests also looked at each other. Why did the ground suddenly crack? It was clearly not 12 o'clock yet, but the terrain of the mechanical city changed, as if someone was guiding them among the layers. Chu Zhang, who was sitting in the control room, also operated with both hands. Under his control, the entire mechanical city began to change. A large number of important buildings have sunk into the ground. The ground of the entire mechanical city also rose, and all the ground combined to form a huge sky dome, blocking the surface of the entire planet. Under the control of Chu Zhang, the Star Destroyer cannon gradually revealed its secrets. The huge muzzle now condenses a huge amount of energy. When the psychic star gods in the Sea of Stars saw the cannon muzzle displayed by the Rusty Star, they secretly screamed that something was wrong. Ding! Charging completed. The Star Destroyer cannon can be activated at any time. At this moment, the entire Rust Star is like a huge machine that is constantly changing its shape. Under Chu Yang's control, the entire mechanical city's residents were transferred to the underground city. The mechanical city was controlled by Chu Zhang and assembled into a huge planetary shield. Planet fleet. Are you kidding me? The Rust Star does not need the protection of the fleet at all, it is a super killer weapon in itself. The violent energy is continuously transported to the core area along the energy pipeline inside the Rust Star. A huge amount of energy is also gathered in the core center. Once this power breaks out, it is enough to destroy an entire planet. At this moment, the psychic star god also absorbed all the psychic power, and his body transformed into a physical state. Since I can't destroy the Emperor's gene seed, then I will destroy the entire star. After saying that, the psychic star god swung his fist towards the iron star in front of him. But at this moment, a purifying beam struck directly at the psychic star god. The spear of Adon appears in the vast starry sky and activates the purification beam to attack the psychic star god. The purifying beam fell on the fist of the psychic star god and immediately shattered the fist of the psychic star god. A huge psychic power then collapsed. Immediately afterwards, the Moon-class cruisers and the Glory Queen-class battleships also appeared in the vast star void. All the starships were firing on all cylinders. Facing this huge psychic star god, they showed no fear at all. Rumble. A large amount of artillery fire fell on the huge body of the psychic star god, and countless psychic powers collapsed. Seeing this, the psychic star god also raised his broken arm. The scattered psychic power around them began to gather again under the guidance of the psychic star god. In just a few breaths, the arm that was originally shattered by the purification beam returned to its original state. And the psychic star god has set his sights on many starships. When he saw the spear of Adon and the Glory Queen class battleship, a surge of anger arose from the bottom of his heart. The psychic star god grabbed the asteroids scattered around and wrapped his psychic energy in their shell. The next second, countless asteroids wrapped with psychic power attacked directly towards the spear of Adon and the Glory Queen class battleship like meteors. But the moment these asteroids came into contact with the spear of Adon, they were directly smashed into pieces by the powerful energy shield of the spear of Adon. Another batch of asteroids, after touching the Glory Queen class battleship, were directly transferred to the subspace by the void shield on its surface. The psychic star god's attack did not cause any damage to Chu Yang's fleet. "You ants, you are just like a ghost." Seeing that the spear of Adon and other starships were unscathed, the psychic star god was also helpless and furious. At this time, the rusty stars in front of us also burst out with a burst of dazzling light. Chu Zhang, who was sitting in the control room, looked at the huge psychic star god on the screen and smiled lightly. "It's over." Boom. Accompanied by a burst of dazzling brilliance, a powerful energy beam directly penetrated the body of the Zhongneng star god. Immediately afterwards, a series of dense cracks appeared on the body of the psychic star god. The moment cracks covered its body, the psychic star god exploded directly. Countless psychic powers merged with the energy of the Star Destroyer cannon of the Rust Star. A huge energy shock wave swept across the entire ancient galaxy in an instant. I don't know how long it took before all the energy returned to the sea of thousands of stars. The psychic star god also did not condense his body again and appeared in everyone's field of vision. Seeing this scene, Chu Zhang also breathed a sigh of relief. Chu Zhang continued to recall the Emperor's memory and couldn't help but sigh. These star gods are really everywhere, and they are taking great pains to prevent the human empire from rising again. The Star God Society is definitely not the first organization they control, nor is it the last. In the Emperor's memory, Chu Zhang also learned. These star gods are the supreme beings that exist in this universe. They absorb the energy of the entire universe and turn this energy into their own authority. At the beginning, the Star Spirit Tribe and the human empire discovered the existence of these star gods. In order to preserve his supreme status, the star god also attacked the Star Spirit Tribe and the human empire. The Zerg I encountered now was a sharp weapon created by one of the star gods. The Star Spirit Tribe was destroyed by the star gods under the attack of the Zerg tribe. Chu Zhang looked at the ceiling, where he saw the insect star god and the psychic star god. He had already met two star gods. After this incident is over, other star gods will definitely notice his existence. Now, he not only controls the Star Spirit Tribe's Doomsday Arc, he even obtained the Emperor's gene seed. The two powerful forces that once almost overthrew the rule of the star gods are now all concentrated on him. Chu Zhang can already imagine what attitude those star gods will have towards him. However, what makes Chu Fen strange is that in the memory of the Emperor's gene seeds, there is no news of the collapse of the human empire. The Emperor only announced the dissolution of the human empire at a certain time and dispersed the various forces of the human empire to all corners of the universe. Just like the Mechanicus, they obtained the Rust Star as their own planetary territory. If Chu Zhang hadn't arrived, they would have probably been destroyed by the Star God Guild controlled by the Psychic Star God. The outer space is a space independent of the universe. In this space, several star gods are suspended in the outer space. At this moment, one of the star gods also opened his eyes. This star god is the psychic star god who represents psychic authority. When the psychic star god opened his eyes, the life star god who represented life also opened his eyes. Psychic star god, what can make you so angry? As star gods and creators of the universe, we should maintain a calm and peaceful mentality at all times. If you are so irritable, how can you control the peace of all living beings in the universe fairly and impartially? The life star god also exhorted the psionic star god with serious words. The psychic star god glanced at him and sneered. If you hear what I say next, I'm afraid you won't be calm. The life star god smiled disdainfully. Are you kidding me? He is the manager of the universe, controlling the fate of hundreds of millions of creatures. Even the Zerg race is just a life created by it. Is there anything else that can surprise him, the star god? I just discovered the existence of the Emperor's gene seeds in the Rust Star. What? Emperor gene seed? For a moment, all the star gods opened their eyes. They can't forget that there was once a human named Emperor, who almost led his legions into outer space. Every time I think about that scene, it feels like a nightmare. Even now, when many star gods mention the human being called Emperor, they can't help but tremble slightly in their hearts. If the Emperor hadn't taken the initiative to disband the human empire, they really didn't know what kind of price they would have to pay to eliminate this human monster. They even tried to recruit the Emperor to become a star god, but the Emperor simply did not give them any chance. Now that the Emperor's gene seeds have appeared, all the star gods are naturally extremely nervous. They don't want a second Emperor to appear. Psychic star god, are you sure what you saw is the Emperor's gene seed? I knew that the human Emperor would never give up so easily. He actually left the gene seed behind. Where's that gene seed? Didn't you destroy it? One Emperor is enough. If another Emperor comes, we might as well run away. Several star gods began to discuss. The life star god also looked solemn. You know, when the psychic star god came back just now, his expression was not very good. Failed. The Emperor actually transformed the entire star into a star-killing weapon. My psychic clone can't withstand the bombardment of star destroyer weapons. Now the Emperor's gene seed has been obtained by a human. What? Not only was the Emperor's gene seed not destroyed, but it was also obtained by a human. For a moment, some of the timid star gods were also trembling. Doesn't this indicate that the second Emperor is about to be born? You know, the whereabouts of the first Emperor are still unknown, and now the second human has obtained the Emperor's gene seed. But then, the psychic star god brought another even more important news. That human not only obtained the Emperor's gene seed, but he also obtained the Protoss Doomsday Arc. I saw with my own eyes that he used the Crystal Tower to summon high-level Templars. At the same time, he also gained the allegiance of the Battle Sisters and the Mechanicus. I guess we will face a very difficult enemy next. As soon as these words came out, the entire outer space fell into a dead silence. This human being not only obtained the Emperor's gene seed, but also obtained the Protoss Doomsday Arc. How can it be? They may not know about the Emperor's gene seed. But when the 3 Doomsday Arcs of the Star Spirit tribe were destroyed by them, how could there still be any remnants? For a moment, all the star gods looked at the Life Star God. Life Star God, did you really let your Zerg troops destroy the 3 Doomsday Arcs of the Protoss Spirit tribe? Faced with everyone's doubts, the Life Star God was also furious. Quote. What do you mean? Do you think I didn't do this well in the first place? Are you kidding? In order to capture the Star Spirit mother planet Ire, I sent tens of billions of Zerg troops. After one battle, I even reclaimed the surface of Al's planet. How could I make a mistake? Many star gods looked at each other, and at this time they also realized the seriousness of the problem. If they weren't too powerful and couldn't reduce their dimensions to enter a universe, they would have taken action decisively now. At this time, the psychic star god also had a very solemn expression. We can no longer sit back and wait for death. If we continue to let this human being grow, sooner or later he will be able to overthrow our world. Don't you have any forces you can control? Although we cannot descend to a universe, we can affect the operation of a universe. Don't you have any reliable chess pieces at your disposal? At this time, one of the star gods slowly spoke. I do have a more suitable chess piece. I can let my chess pieces go to Holy Terra. Since that human has inherited the Emperor's gene seed, then you will definitely go to Holy Terra. At that time, I only need to stay with him in Holy Terra. Holy Terra, this star was originally the capital of the old human empire. But since the Emperor disbanded the Empire, Holy Terra also activated the planetary defense system. The outside world cannot enter the current Holy Terra, and the creatures inside cannot come out. This situation has been going on for hundreds of years, and gradually, the Yin family has forgotten this star. Now that the Emperor's gene seeds have reappeared, these star gods have once again noticed this forgotten star. On the other side of the Rust Star, Chuzhong restored the Rust Star to its original appearance. Monos, when he opened the groove where the Emperor's armor bracelet was previously stored, the energy in the Emperor's armor had been drained out. Fortunately, there is energy in the bracelet, otherwise it would only rely on the energy stored in the Rust Star. Even if it is forcibly activated, the entire T2 star will definitely be paralyzed for a period of time. Ding! Rusty Star signed in successfully. Ding! Congratulations on your successful sign-in and getting the design of the Protoss Colossus. Ding! Congratulations on your successful sign-in and obtaining the Space Marine Shark Legion. At this moment, the sound of the system also sounded. Chuzhong has stayed in Rust Star for so long and successfully completed the sign-in. The sign-in reward this time is actually the Protoss Colossus and the Man-Eating Shark Legion. The Protoss Colossus is a powerful ground unit of the Protoss tribe. Not to mention the Man-Eating Shark Legion, as one of the legions of Space Marines, their combat effectiveness is even more indestructible. Now, our ground troops are very powerful. To deal with ordinary enemy ground units, Thunder Warriors and Man-Eating Shark Legion are enough to crush all enemies. Even if you encounter some difficult enemies, such as Protoss Colossi and high-level Templars, these powerful Protoss units can burn the enemies into an army of ashes. Chuzhong feels that his wings are full now. As for the fleet, I own the Spear of Adon, the Doomsday Ark and Mobile Arsenal. In addition, there are 20 S-class Glory Queen-class battleships and 20 A-class Moon-class cruisers. Together, these starships are enough to compete with hundreds of fleet-organized superships. Team. The air units include Phoenix Fighters and Viking Fighters, and the ground units include Thunder Warriors and Pilot Titans. Not to mention psionic units, Battle Sisters and High Templars are enough to kill those psychers on the spot. It's time to head to Holy Terra. Captain, everything is ready. As the Battle of the Rusty Star came to an end, many mechanical priests of the mechanicus followed their previous agreements. From now on, they are no longer the guardians of the Rust Star, but the ship technicians of the Chuzhong fleet. Perhaps these mechanical priests are not too outstanding in combat. But when it comes to work like repairing ships, no one is more familiar with it than them. Of course, before leaving, these mechanical priests also selected a group of managers so that they could better operate the Rust Star after they left the Rust Star. These selected managers were basically devout believers of the mechanicus. The girl who Chuzhong helped once was also among the managers. After everything was settled, Chuzhong also mobilized the fleet and left Rust Star. Next, he has only one goal. That's the journey to Holy Terra. In the Emperor's memory, Holy Terra is now protected by the planetary defense system. Today's Holy Terra has been completely sealed off from the outside world. Only the Emperor himself or Chuzhong, who possesses the Emperor's gene seed, can unlock Holy Terra's planetary defense system and enter the interior of Holy Terra. Chuzhong opened the planet panel and also set the coordinates of Holy Terra. Coordinates have been set. Starting space jump. The space engine started, and the Spear of Adon turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the ancient galaxy. The Moon-class cruiser and the Glory Queen-class battleship also followed closely behind. I don't know how long it took, but the Spear of Adon system also sounded again. Arrived at the target location. The space engine enters cooling state. Whoosh! The figure of the Spear of Adon instantly appeared in this strange galaxy. Subsequently, many starships also appeared one after another around the Spear of Adon. Looking at this strange yet familiar galaxy in front of me, I couldn't help but sigh. This is the galaxy where Holy Terra resides. Turning on the galaxy radar, Chuzhong can see it clearly. In the entire galaxy, except for one star, there is only one planet. And this planet is the legendary former capital of the human empire, Holy Terra. Chuzhong activated the Spear of Adon and flew towards Holy Terra. Not long after, they also arrived near the orbit of Holy Terra. I saw that the Holy Terra in front of me was surrounded by a transparent planetary protective barrier. Seeing this planetary protective barrier, Chu Zhang couldn't help but sigh at how powerful the Holy Terra was in the past. The planetary protection barrier it possesses, even after so many years, can still ensure that Holy Terra is not harmed by any external attacks. Chu Zhang continued to approach Holy Terra, and at this moment, his Adon spear communication device also received a signal from Kai Sheng Terra. This is the capital of the human empire, Holy Terra. Sorry, we are not open to the public now. If you are just passing by here, please leave quickly. The artificial intelligence of the planetary defense system also advises any ship approaching Holy Terra. If these ships remain stubborn and want to forcefully attack the planetary defense system of Holy Terra, then, Holy Terra's planetary defense system will tell these ships. The reason why Holy Terra can stand here depends not only on the barrier effect of the planetary defense system. At this time, Chu Zhang also directly sent a series of special signals to the artificial intelligence of the planetary defense system. After the planetary defense system received this special signal, a system panel also appeared on Chu Yang's Spear of Adon screen. Special command signal detected. Please enter the default password. Looking at the panel on the screen in front of him, Chu Zhang also directly entered the password set in the Emperor's memory. After the preset password is entered, the artificial intelligence of the planetary defense system confirms it again and again. Finally, it identified Chu Zhang. Identity confirmation. Welcome home, My Majesty. Hearing the last sentence, Chu Zhang couldn't help but sigh. I am not the Emperor. The barrier of the planetary defense system was unlocked, and Chu Zhang also led the fleet to follow the guidance of artificial intelligence and prepare to land on the starport on the surface of Holy Terra. Soon, many starships landed on the starports on the surface one after another. Chu Zhang walked out of the Spear of Adon and looked around. The huge starport was completely silent at the moment, with not even a single spacecraft moored. The area outside the starport is even more silent, and there are not even birds in the huge city. Since the Emperor disbanded the Empire, the residents of Holy Terra have basically left Holy Terra and gone their separate ways. Walking on the streets of Holy Terra, Chu Zhang also looked at the desolate scene around him and couldn't help feeling worried. This was once the most prosperous place in the human empire, but now the streets are deserted, and weeds have even grown in some places. Chu Zhang didn't understand why the original emperor would rather disband the huge human empire than confront the star god. With the forces under the emperor's command at the time, even if they were to confront the star god, they would have a slight chance of winning. However, this is no longer something Chu Zhang should consider. The most critical thing for him now is to restart the entire Holy Terra. His eyes were set on the hub of the entire Holy Terra, the Emperor's Hall. The Emperor's Hall is the administrative hub building of the entire Holy Terra. The former Emperor transformed this place into an administrative center. The Emperor could control the entire situation of Holy Terra just from the Emperor's Hall. Therefore, if Chu Zhang wants to reactivate this dead city, he must go to the administrative center. Immediately afterwards, Chu Zhang also led many troops towards the Emperor Da Cheng. When he arrived at the Emperor's Hall, looking at the magnificent hall in front of him, Chu Zhang just took one look and walked out directly. Entering the Emperor's Hall, you will see a variety of rooms. Each room corresponds to the management rights of an area. Densely packed, the entire Emperor's Hall is hundreds of stories high, with hundreds of rooms on each floor. Only the Emperor, who was a psyker at the time, could clearly divide the management of so many areas. Arriving at the core area on the top floor, a huge throne came into view. Chu Zhang was also unceremonious and sat directly on the throne. When Chu Zhang sat on the throne, a large number of control panels also appeared in front of them. The entire throne is the core device that controls the entire Holy Terra. Chu Zhang began to activate the entire Holy Terra one by one according to the control method in his memory. Ding, the Holy Terra industrial zone has been activated. Ding, the Holy Terra starport area has been activated. Ding, the Sacred Terra military zone has been activated. Ding, the Holy Terra near-Earth defense system has been activated. For a time, the entire Holy Terra started to operate like a long dusted machine. Originally, Holy Terra was always on standby in order to save energy. Now, Holy Terra has been reactivated, slowly reviving like a sleeping beast. At this time, Chu Zhong also immediately received a message from the sacred Terra orbiting satellite. Warning, a large starship has been detected approaching Holy Terra. After receiving the warning, Bdag, Chu Zhong couldn't help but frown slightly. Good guy, I have just taken over Holy Terra, and I haven't even warmed the butt of the throne. The enemy is chasing you now. Chu Zhong also immediately activated the space satellite of Holy Terra. When Chu Zhong saw the fleet logo in the image, he couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Because the logo of one of the fleets is very familiar to me. That is the symbol of the Virgil fleet of the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao. The identity of the other fleet is even more complicated. His identity is the Liang Emperor, Long Yan, among the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. 2 great emperors, one comes from the warlike nation Virgil. The other one is from the flame race with the most violent personality in Shanghai. These 2 guys actually joined forces, and they headed straight towards Holy Terra. It was obvious that their target was Holy Terra. It seems that they have been planning this for a long time. As soon as Chu Zhong arrived at Holy Terra, their 2 fleets followed closely behind. It was obvious that Chu Zhong had been targeted by them from the beginning. But Chu Zhong didn't care. What made him feel ridiculous was that these guys didn't surround him before he entered Holy Terra. Instead, he chose to come out to surround Chu Zhong after activating Holy Terra. Obviously, the 2 of them are also very interested in this star, which was once the capital of the old human empire. But they made one mistake, that is, they should not let Chu Zhong activate Holy Terra and come back. As the capital of the former human empire, Holy Terra's surface defense system alone has reached an extremely terrifying level. Chu Zhong opened a control panel and directly started the planetary defense system. Starting planetary defense system. With the activation of the planetary defense system, a transparent film also appeared on the surface of Holy Terra's planet. Among the 2 fleets speeding towards Holy Terra, the Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao was sitting in the flagship with a gloomy expression. The crew members around him did not dare to show any signs of neglect, for fear of being angered by their own emperor. In the communication channel opposite Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao, there was a flame man with a body made of flames, and the flames on his face also formed a slightly mocking expression. Wu Miao, are you excited to see your enemy soon? Upon hearing this, Wu Miao narrowed her eyes slightly and held the guard of the seat tightly with both hands. The seat made of alloy, in Wu Miao's rage, was actually forced to make a handprint. Wu Miao didn't know how the news of his defeat by Chu Zhong reached the ears of the Flame Earth Dragon Yan. Then Long Yan got the news from nowhere that Chu Zhong was in Holy Terra. Under the instigation of Long Yan, but also under the influence of Wu Miao's pride, Wu Miao actually agreed to temporarily join forces with Long Yan to deal with Chu Zhong at the same time. HMPH, I am enough to deal with that blue star human. If you follow me here, do you think you can't believe in my strength? Faced with Long Yan's taunt, Wei Miao responded directly. Long Yan, on the other hand, looked calm. He had been ordered to hunt Chu Zhong. The flame race where Long Yan belongs was created by one of the star gods. So, Long Yan also obeyed that star god's words. He originally had no interest in this human being named Chu Zhong, until the star god issued an oracle, telling him to kill Chu Zhong at all costs. Because of this, Long Yan came here. The human named Chu Zhong is no longer the blue star human you knew back then. Now he has not only obtained the Emperor's inheritance, but also obtained the allegiance of the Star Spirit clan. It only takes a few months for him to reach such a level. If he is allowed to grow any longer, I'm afraid we will all become his stepping stones. In this battle, we agreed in advance that Chu Zhong will belong to you, but if Holy Terra is defeated, it will belong to me. After hearing the last sentence, Wu Miao just snorted and did not answer directly. Long Yan did not continue to ask questions. Now his primary purpose was to complete the task assigned to him by Lord Star God. This human being, Chu Zhong, must die. For a time, the 2 fleets also arrived near Holy Terra. After seeing the planetary defense shield of Holy Terra, Long Yan and Wu Miao looked at each other. It seems that we are already a step too late. Chu Zhong has already entered Holy Terra and has mastered Holy Terra's planetary defense system. Looking at the planetary defense shield in front of him, Long Yan couldn't help but frown. He originally wanted to use Chu Yang's power to unlock the planetary defense system of Holy Terra. Then, before Chu Zhang has mastered the Holy Terra, he will kill him and take the Holy Terra into his bag. However, he never expected that Chu Zhang would move so quickly. After Chu Zhang entered Holy Terra, he directly took control of the planetary defense system with the help of the Emperor's memory. Looking at the planetary defense system in front of him, Wu Miao sneered. "It's just a broken cover, let me blow it to pieces with my hunter." After hearing these words, Long Yan did not speak. You know, Wu Miao's flagship hunting is a Star Destroyer battleship. Once the main gun is fully charged, its power is enough to destroy an entire planet. Now, I just don't know whether the planetary defense shield of Holy Terra in front of me can withstand the Star Destroyer bombing of the Yu Miao flagship. Boom! Accompanied by a dazzling light, it lit up in the starry sky. Yu Miao's flagship, the Wild Hunt, activated its main cannon and directly bombarded Holy Terra's planetary defense shield. Powerful energy waves rippled directly on the surface of Holy Terra's planetary shield. If such a terrifying energy beam fell on the surface of a star, it would be enough to destroy all life on the entire planet in a short time. But the light dissipated, and something unexpected happened. I saw that the planetary defense shield was still standing there intact, facing such a terrifying Star Destroyer attack. The planetary shield of Holy Terra in front of us is not damaged at all. Now, let alone Wu Miao, even Long Yan felt incredible. What's the situation? This is too outrageous. What the hell is this? The charged blow of my flagship's main gun didn't even destroy the planetary shield. No wonder no one has thought about Holy Terra for so many years. At this time, Wu Miao also said to Long Yan, "I remember that your main gun also has the power of destroying stars. If one gun doesn't work, then use two guns. I can't even break through the planetary shield of this planet with two attacks from the star-killing weapon." After hearing this, Long Yan could only bite the bullet and use the main gun to carry out a star-killing attack. You know, if a ship wants to launch a star-killing attack, it needs to consume a huge amount of energy. Moreover, after carrying out a Star Destroyer attack, the ship's weapons will also fall into a cooling state. Unless absolutely necessary, Long Yan rarely uses star-killing weapons. But now, they have to use star-killing weapons. If they can't break through this planetary shield, they won't be able to airdrop their troops at all. As a result, it will be very difficult to kill Chu Zhang, let alone capture the sacred Tai Lai. Therefore, Long Yan also decisively opened the restrictions on annihilation star weapons. His flagship was also shimmering with light, and violent flame energy was also concentrated on the flagship's main gun. It ended with a long period of energy accumulation. Boom! A flame beam struck directly at the planetary shield. In an instant, the flame beam transformed into endless fire, covering the entire planet in the blink of an eye. The endless flames are burning. Without the protection of the planetary shield, it is estimated that the entire Holy Terra will be submerged in flames. However, when the flames dissipated, Long Yan and Wu Miao's expressions became very ugly. What the hell? Two bombardments of star-killing weapons were unable to break through the planetary shield. At this moment, they couldn't help but be shocked by the power of Holy Terra. Today I have gained some knowledge. It was once the capital of the human empire, and the defensive power of the planetary shield alone is so terrifying. Then what should we do next? Do we have to watch the human Chu Zhang hiding in this turtle shell? What else can we do? At this point, we can only bite the bullet. All ships listen to the order and attack the planetary shield immediately. After hearing the order, many ships began to turn around. A large number of artillery aimed at the planetary shield. Rumble. A series of fire lights lit up in the starry sky. A large number of artillery pieces fell on the planetary shield like a heavy rain. However, compared to the attacks of destroyer star weapons, the attacks of these artillery are just scratching the itch of the planetary shield. It seems like these guys are determined to kill me. Chu Zhang, who was sitting on the emperor's throne, looked at the images sent back by the satellite and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Facing the siege of the two great emperors, Chu Zhang did not panic at all. You know, the place where he is now is the capital of the old human empire, Holy Terra. As the capital of a powerful empire, basically every defense project on Holy Terra has the emperor's participation. And because of this, Holy Terra has extremely strong defense power. The 2-star destroyer cannon bombardments did not break the planetary shield. The most terrifying thing is that the planetary shield can repair itself. As long as the energy reserves of Holy Terra are sufficient, in theory, the planetary shield will basically not be broken immediately as long as it is not attacked by star-breaking weapons. Chu Zhong had to admire the Emperor for relying on the powerful planetary defense function of Holy Terra, even if he did nothing. It will take at least a month for the 2 Emperor's fleets to break through the planetary shield. Seeing more and more attacks falling on the planetary shield, Chu Zhong also raised the corners of his mouth slightly. He does not plan to hide forever. He controls the system of the planetary shield and minimizes the energy distribution of the planetary shield. Warning: the planetary shield energy has reached the warning level. If there is no more energy replenishment, the planetary shield will automatically close. This is what Chu Zhong wants. Now, the 2 fleets have no more use of star-killing weapons. Once the planetary shield disappears, they will definitely drop ground troops and launch an invasion of Holy Terra. When it comes to ground combat, that is Chu Yang's advantage. Chu Zhong now has various powerful ground forces such as high-level Templar warriors, Thunder warriors, and Man-eating Shark Legion. If they airdropped ground troops, they would have fallen into Chu Yang's trap. At this moment, the planetary shield in the sky slowly disappeared. The 2 fleets that were bombarding the planetary shield thought that their attacks had worked after seeing the planetary shield disappear. Long Yan was even more overjoyed. He thought it would take at least some time for them to break through the planetary shield. But unexpectedly, not long after, the planetary shield disappeared. Wu Miao was also very happy when she saw this scene. I thought this planetary shield was really indestructible, but it turns out it's just the end of a powerful crossbow. What should we do next? Should we first carry out a wave of ground bombing to consume the opponent's vitality? Bombing. We have consumed a lot of ammunition, and Holy Terra's air defense system is not a vegetarian. Drop ground troops directly. All our ground troops add up to a total of 100,000 people. 100,000 ground troops still can't take down one Holy Terra. After hearing this, Long Yan also agreed. Holy Terra's air defense system is still functioning, and they continue to conduct ground bombings, which is just a waste of their ammunition. Rather than continue to consume the opponent, it is better to throw the ground troops down now. In this way, even if the air defense system bombs the airdrop pod, most of their soldiers can land on the ground. Once they destroy the air defense system, wouldn't it be easier to conduct orbital bombing? But at this time, Wu Miao couldn't wait any longer. Last time, I didn't bring too many Virgil warriors, so that boy Chu Zhong took advantage of me. This time, I brought 100,000 warriors from the Virgil tribe, and everyone is an elite. I don't believe that these 100,000 troops can't take down this guy Chu Zhong. Prepare for airborne landing. Following Wu Miao's order, many landing ships also flew towards the surface of Holy Terra. At the same time, Long Yan also dispatched 50,000 flame troops. The population of their flame race is relatively sparse, but with their unique body structure, the 50,000 flame race troops are definitely more powerful than Yu Miao's Virgil troops. These flames don't even need drop pods for airborne landings. They turned themselves into cannonballs one after another, and were then fired directly by the ship's artillery. A large number of firemen attacked the ground of Holy Terra like meteors. At this time, the airdrop of Virgil's troops also followed closely. A large number of landing ships were also loaded with soldiers from the Virgil tribe, and they attacked the surface of Holy Terra. For a time, the sky of Holy Terra was covered with flames and airdrop pods. It is obviously daytime, but there is a grand scene of stars at night. Seeing many troops airborne one after another, Chu Zhong also sneered. I really think that the air defense system of my Holy Terra is a vegetarian. Air defense system activated. For a time, a large number of anti-aircraft guns stretched out from the ground. The moment the anti-aircraft guns were activated, they quickly locked onto the airborne troops in the sky. Rumble. Almost instantly, the anti-aircraft guns fired at the same time. A large number of artillery pieces directly filled the sky of Holy Terra. One of the pyromen was hit by a cannonball and disappeared into fireworks in the sky. One of the airdrop compartments was hit, and the Virgils inside were engulfed in flames before they could even touch the ground. A large number of anti-aircraft guns vented their anger one after another, and the airdrop pods were shot down one after another. In just a short period of time, the airborne troops of both sides lost 10,000 people. Seeing that the number of people continued to soar, Wu Miao suddenly became very ugly. They thought that Holy Terra's air defense system would be very difficult, but they never imagined that this air defense system would be so abnormal. Before they landed, the number of people killed by the air defense system had already reached 20,000. Holy Terra's air defense system is too fierce. Who knew the air defense system in this place was so powerful? If I had known earlier, I might as well have used decoy bombs to consume the ammunition of the anti-aircraft guns. It's too late for you to regret it now. You can only bite the bullet and continue airborne. I didn't expect that this Holy Terra would be so troublesome. This protective measure is many times stronger than my territory. Under the attack of a large number of anti-aircraft artillery, many space forces also suffered heavy losses. But fortunately, the number of their troops was large enough. Even if a lot of them were destroyed by anti-aircraft artillery, most of the ground troops could land on the ground. I saw several flame men crawling out of the deep pit. The first thing they did after landing was to touch the direction of the anti-aircraft artillery. These anti-aircraft artillery are still releasing artillery fire at this moment. As long as this anti-aircraft artillery is still operating, their subsequent airborne troops will continue to suffer casualties. Therefore, the top priority is to destroy all these anti-aircraft artillery systems. Several flame man warriors also gathered together and quickly ran towards the anti-aircraft artillery. But just as they were about to approach the anti-aircraft artillery, there was a roar of engines overhead. Everyone, your journey ends here. I saw Polaris Titan suspended in the air, its flight core fully opened, and a large number of missiles spurting out from the launcher behind him. Rumble. Along with a series of explosions, the endless flames instantly swallowed up those flame warriors. Although these flame men are immune to the burning of fire, after being hit by a missile, the powerful explosion shockwave is enough to blow them into pieces. At this moment, other Titans also joined the battlefield one after another. Faced with these Titan mechas with powerful firepower, many ordinary soldiers in the airborne troops were unable to withstand the powerful firepower of the Titans. Seeing this scene, Wu Miao couldn't help but said angrily, "This is an ambush." Chu Zhong had expected that we would destroy the anti-aircraft artillery, so he set up an ambush in advance. What are you afraid of? It's just some mechas. We also have such things as mechas. Let those landing ships get closer to the surface and airdrop all the heavy firepower mechas in the cabins. Upon hearing this order, the crew members driving the landing ship were also dumbfounded. Go down now. Now on the surface of Holy Terra, there are a large number of anti-aircraft artillery waiting for them. Based on the current situation, they probably won't have time to airdrop heavy firepower mechas, and those anti-aircraft artillery can turn them into scrap metal in minutes. Emperor, do we really want to land? There are a large number of anti-aircraft artillery on the ground aiming at us. If we descend rashly, won't we be beaten into pieces? Facing the crew's doubts, Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao also said coldly. You land now. While those anti-aircraft artillery are still dealing with the airborne troops, there is still a glimmer of hope. But if you continue to stay here now, I don't mind directly using the Starship's orbital gun to shoot you down and send you down. After hearing these words, many crew members operating the landing ship also bit the bullet and began to descend. As expected, after the landing ships landed within the range of the anti-aircraft guns, the anti-aircraft guns also aimed their muzzles at these large landing ships. A large amount of artillery fire was transferred to the landing ship. Fortunately, the landing ship's armor was strong enough. Many landing ships also landed on the surface, but some unlucky landing ships were destroyed by anti-aircraft artillery before they could land. Seeing many landing ships landing on the surface, Chu Zhong sat on the throne and chuckled. Everything is going according to Chu Yang's plan. Wild Hunt Emperor Wu Miao and Liang Emperor Long Yan are walking into his trap step by step. Now it's time to close the net. I saw Chu Zhong press a button, and the Spear of Adon in the starport was activated again. Colossus has been activated. Chapter 71. In the starry sky forge of the Spear of Adon, the Protoss Colossi were activated one after another. These war machines possess extremely powerful destructive power. For those ground troops, the existence of these Protoss colossi is enough to cause a devastating blow to them. Colossus has been activated. Selecting jump location. At this moment, in the chaotic ground battlefield, many Flame Man warriors and Virgil warriors have not yet realized the seriousness of the problem. As the landing ship joined the battlefield, a large number of ground troops and heavy firepower mechas also landed on the ground of Holy Terra. I saw that both sides of these heavy firepower mechas were equipped with heavy Gatling machine guns. Densely packed ammunition continuously attacks the Polar Star Titan in the sky. The pilot sitting in the Polaris Titan relied on his superb flying skills to dodge the bullets of the opponent's heavy firepower mecha. But it is obvious that the weapons of these heavy firepower mechas are not just Gatling guns. Some heavy fire mechas have a row of missile launchers sticking out from the back. Accompanied by a series of flame jet sounds, the missiles quickly attacked those Titan mechas. Although the Titan mechas are powerful, the opponent's ground troops and heavy firepower mechas far outnumber them. Even if the pilot has the superb skills to drive the Titan, he is still a little overwhelmed at the moment. Seeing those Titan mechas retreating steadily, Wei Miao also laughed. Okay, very good, hit me hard, try to beat all the mechas under Chu Zhong into scrap metal for me. Other ground troops should not be stunned. Take advantage of the moment and destroy the anti-aircraft artillery immediately. Many ground troops who received the order also acted quickly. The heavy firepower mecha of the Virgil clan, equipped with Gatling guns and tornado missiles and other historical systems. At the same time, the mecha's defensive armor is also made of ship materials. Just standing there is like a fortress, indestructible. Seeing the heavy firepower mecha of the Virgil tribe showing off its power, Long Yan also smiled. It seems that I can't hide my secrets anymore. Notice down. All Golden Crow fighter planes will be dispatched and immediately go to support the ground battlefield. Receive. Following Long Yan's order, numerous red Golden Crow fighter planes also turned into streams of light and attacked the ground battlefield. The Golden Crow fighter plane of the Flame Man race came to the ground battlefield and quickly launched a large number of flame missiles. These flame missiles fell to the ground and burned into flames instantly. Boom! One of the fire missiles landed next to a Titan. As the flames spurted out, the endless flames instantly swallowed up the Titan. But fortunately, this Titan has an energy shield, so it won't be destroyed by a missile. However, the addition of the Golden Crow fighter jets also indicates that their control over the sky and the ground is being gradually eroded by the enemy. At this moment, many Tetsuri also received orders from Jinjiang. Notify all pilots to evacuate the battlefield immediately. You have done a good job, but others need to take over the next battlefield. Evacuate the battlefield. Although many pilots watched the ground troops continue to approach the anti-aircraft artillery. No matter how much they want to continue participating in the war, in such an environment, it is difficult for their Titans to play any role. Brothers, we should trust the captain's decision. Now, there is only one thing we have to do, and that is to follow the order. Many pilots also obeyed the order and quickly evacuated the central battlefield. Seeing the pilot driving the Titan away from the battlefield, Long Yan and Wu Miao also showed proud smiles. Haha, I thought Chu Zhong had some secret tricks, but now it seems like nothing more than that. It is simply wishful thinking to repel us with just these broken mechas. Now we have complete control of the sky and the ground. Now, we only need to destroy the air defense system, and our large forces can reach the ground faster. At this moment, in the eyes of the two great emperors, the war situation is doomed. The Golden Crow fighter planes under Long Yan have already gained air superiority. And the heavy firepower mechas under Wu Miao also have the advantage on the ground. Even the pilots have begun to withdraw from the battlefield. What else can resist their footsteps now? A large number of Flame Warriors and Virgil Warriors, under the cover of heavy fire mechas, also approached the anti-aircraft artillery. But at this moment, a series of space-jumping energy ripples appeared around the anti-aircraft artillery. The next second, a colossus of a star spirit descended on the ground. Seeing the sudden appearance of this star spirit colossus, many Flame Man warriors and Virgil warriors couldn't help but change their expressions. One of the Flame Warriors looked at the huge Protoss colossus in front of him and tried to condense the flames. A fire bomb fell directly on the Protoss colossus. Boom! Flames exploded on the Protoss Colossus. And this move seemed to trigger the mechanism of the Star Spirit Colossus. The Protoss Colossus began to move, and the thermal line guns on both sides were aimed at the Pyro warriors who had just attacked it. The thermal energy ray gun directly fired a high-heat plasma beam and landed on the Flame Man. In an instant, the Flame Man was directly engulfed by the high-heat plasma beam. He didn't even utter a scream, he just screamed in the same place. Seeing this scene, the Virgil soldier next to him reacted. Even the flame people who are immune to fire can't withstand the attack of high-heat plasma beams. If they touch these high-heat plasma beams, wouldn't they evaporate on the spot? Run away. This sound of running away directly awakened the other flame warriors and Virgil warriors. Suddenly, people around were in chaos. But it was obvious that the Protoss Colossus had no intention of letting them go. The high-heat plasma beam began to move. No matter how fast those Virgil warriors ran, they could not move as fast as the high-heat plasma beam. In an instant, a Virgil warrior was overtaken by a high-heat plasma beam. The terrifying high temperature and the armor on his body were burned into molten iron. Seeing such terrifying power, the fear in everyone's hearts was ignited again. At this time, a Virgil warrior controlled a heavy fire mecha and came to the Protoss Colossus. Looking at the Star Spirit Colossus in front of him, the Virgil warrior sneered. It's just another iron lump with a new look. Watch me use the Gatling gun of the armor to beat this guy into scrap metal. After that, the Virgil warrior directly activated the Gatling machine guns on both sides of the heavy fire armor. A large number of bullets also hit the Star Spirit Colossus like a heavy rain. But it was completely different from what he expected. These bullets landed on the energy shield of the Protoss Colossus without even causing a ripple. Seeing this scene, Warrior Virgil also refused to give up. Directly release the wind missiles. A large number of missiles also hit the Star Spirit Colossus, and the flames after the explosion directly wrapped the upper body of the Star Spirit Colossus. Warrior Virgil looked nervously at the flames spreading in front of him, and his heart was pounding. Can these missiles really cause damage to the Protoss Colossus in front of us? The answer is obvious, no. The thermal energy ray gun directly burst out a high-heat plasma beam, which fell on the heavy fire war. The proud armor of the heavy fire armor, under the attack of the high-heat plasma beam, quickly melts into molten iron like butter on a hot knife. Seeing that even their own heavy fire armor could not withstand the attack of the Protoss Colossus, those Virgil warriors were even more horrified. At this time, the Star Spirit Colossus began to move, and its long limbs drove the body of the Colossus and began to run towards the center of the battlefield. Before the many heavy fire armors in the center of the battlefield could react, they saw only a beam of light falling from the sky. The next second, their heavy fire armor was split into two halves. As soon as the Star Spirit Colossus appeared, it showed its strong fighting power. The surrounding heavy fire armors still wanted to resist, but their weapons and ammunition fell on the Protoss Colossus, and were all blocked by the outer energy shield of the Protoss Colossus. Their attacks have no effect on the Protoss Colossus. But on the contrary, these Protoss giants fired high-temperature plasma beams and easily split apart more than a dozen heavy fire armors. Seeing the appearance of these giant statues of stars, the smile on Wu Miao's face froze. What the hell is this? The armor of my heavy fire armor is made of ship materials, and that monster's attack actually melted the armor. No wonder Chu Yang's mecha troops have evacuated. It turns out the real secret weapon is here. The attack power of this monster is too powerful. How shall we deal with these monsters next? It doesn't matter, I still have Golden Crow fighters here. No matter how powerful those guys are, they can't attack my Golden Crow fighters. With that said, Long Yan also gave orders to his air troops. After receiving the order, many Golden Crow fighter jets quickly began to attack the Protoss Colossus in front of them. A large number of flame missiles fell around the Protoss Colossus. There was a rumbling explosion, mixed with the spurting of flames. For a moment, the ground around the Star Spirit Colossus instantly turned into a sea of fire. Chu Zhong, who was sitting on the throne, also saw this scene. The corners of his mouth raised slightly, as if he was mocking the two emperors for overestimating their capabilities. In that case, let me show you my air force. Viking fighter jets attack. Phoenix fighter starts. Following Chu Yang's order, two air forces composed of different fighter planes also soared into the sky. Then, the Viking fighter jets and Phoenix fighter jets rushed towards the center of the battlefield at the same time. Not long after, the Phoenix fighter jet arrived at the center of the battlefield first. The twin ion cannons on both sides of the fighter plane were directly aimed at the Golden Crow fighter plane that was bombing the Protoss Colossus. Two fighter planes met, and the Phoenix fighter struck first. Two ion cannonballs directly hit the Golden Crow fighter. Unexpectedly, the next second, the Golden Crow fighter was directly shot down by two ion cannonballs from the Phoenix fighter. Seeing this scene, the Protoss pilot driving the Phoenix fighter was also confused. Unexpectedly, the opponent's fighter planes are so fragile. The Viking fighter was not idle either, and several wave-breaking missiles also attacked another Golden Crow fighter. Boom! Following a burst of explosions, the Golden Crow fighter plane was directly shattered by the bombardment of wave-breaking missiles. When these Golden Crow fighters were manufactured, all their talents were focused on attack, so that now the Air Force encountering Chujong is like paper. A large number of Golden Crow fighters were destroyed, and the pilots of the Golden Crow fighters also reacted quickly. They also relied on their driving skills to escape the Phoenix fighter's attack. The next second, they aimed directly at the Phoenix fighter and launched flame missiles. But then, something they never expected happened. The Phoenix fighter jet was like a nimble bird, directly dodging the attack of the flame missiles. Then, two ion cannonballs landed directly on the Golden Crow fighter. The Phoenix fighter has extremely powerful maneuverability. Without the attack of tracking missiles, it would be really difficult for ordinary fighter attacks to touch it. More and more Golden Crow fighters were shot down, and the Viking fighters directly turned on the ground mode when they saw this. The Viking fighter landed directly and then used its twin Gatling heavy artillery to start mopping up the enemy's ground troops. With the appearance of the Protoss Colossus and Chu Yang's air troops, the entire front began to crumble like a flood discharge embankment. Seeing the troops on their side being killed continuously, Wu Miao and Long Yan's expressions began to look very ugly. They never expected that Chu Yang's ground troops would be so powerful. They should not have chosen to send ground troops in the first place. Now, not only have they failed to seize control of Holy Terra, they have suffered heavy losses to their troops. In fact, they have not even destroyed the anti-aircraft artillery system until now, and they have simply lost miserably. Why does this guy Chu Zhong have so many terrifying cards? We can no longer continue to deploy ground troops. If we continue like this, no matter how much troops are deployed, it will be a waste of effort. In this case, there is no need to continue airdrops and directly conduct orbital bombing on Holy Terra. I can't believe this guy can withstand our orbital bombardment. Seeing the heavy casualties of the ground troops, Wu Miao finally couldn't help it and prepared to launch orbital bombing. Now is the last resort. After all, after the orbital bombardment, even if they occupy Holy Terra, the resources they need to repair will be an astronomical amount. But now, their ground forces are unable to conquer Holy Terra at all, and can only launch orbital bombing. And Chu Zhong also guessed what Wu Miao and Long Yan were thinking. I saw the corners of Chu Yang's mouth raised slightly. It's time to place the last chess piece. Notify the Thunder Warriors and the Man-Eating Shark Legion to prepare to board the ship. It's time to give our enemy the final blow. In the vast expanse of space, many ships marking the Virgil and Flame races are slowly approaching Holy Terra. Originally, Wu Miao and Long Yan wanted to use ground troops to completely capture Holy Terra. Because once orbital bombing is used, it can cause heavy damage to Chu Yang's troops. But it will also damage most of the buildings on the surface of Holy Terra. For them, this is nothing more than a loss. In their psychology, the entire Holy Terra is already in their possession. But now, their minds have changed. In terms of ground landing warfare, their ground troops simply cannot defeat Chu Yang's ground troops. Not only the ground troops, but even the air superiority, they didn't get it at all. After all, the two great emperors are also famous figures in the entire Qinghai, and they have participated in countless battles. However, they have participated in such a frustrating battle. After losing a lot of troops, they finally landed on the surface. As a result, they discovered that this was simply a trap. The enemy's ground troops were powerful and they pressed them to the ground and rubbed them wildly. The heavy firepower armor they were proud of could not even stand up to the giant statue. Even the Golden Crow fighter jets they sent out were shattered by the bombardment of Viking fighter jets and Phoenix fighter jets. Chu Yang's air troops and ground troops are the best among the best. Their ground troops were completely vulnerable to Chu Yang's troops. Wu Miao knew very well that if he continued to send troops, it would only increase casualties in vain. Their losses now are very serious. For this reason, they also decisively launched the planetary orbital bombing plan. We can no longer hesitate. If this continues, even if all our ground troops are exhausted, it will be impossible to capture Holy Terra. It seems that I underestimated this human being named Chu Zhong at the beginning. I didn't expect that the strength of his troops would be so strong. We should have started orbital bombing directly from the beginning without giving him a chance to breathe. Quote, "Oh, you were the one who said that you would parachute ground troops to invade Holy Terra. Now you have changed your mind. Who would have thought that this kid would develop to such an extent in such a short period of time?" Wu Miao looked at Long Yan in the communication channel in front of him, and his tone was also somewhat unkind. It was clear that he had coerced and lured him into calling him, so he mobilized the fleet to come to Holy Terra to deal with Chu Zhong. As a result, something went wrong now, and this guy actually blamed himself. And Long Yan looked at Wu Miao in the communication channel in front of him, and he was thinking for a while. If it wasn't to fulfill Lord Star God's will, who would be willing to cooperate with this barbarian? The two of them have their own evil intentions, but now they both have a common enemy, so they won't fall out directly. Chu Zhong also used satellites to see that the two fleets were thinking about the approach of Holy Terra. Without even thinking about it, these guys plan to use orbital bombing to carry out a devastating blow to the defense buildings on the ground. However, doing so means that they have given up their ground troops. Once the orbital bombardment is launched, their dropped ground troops will also be baptized by artillery fire. Everything is in my plan, now you want to use orbital bombing to consume my vitality. Late. Activate planetary shields. Planetary shield activated. I saw the familiar planetary shield reappearing in the sky of Holy Terra. When they saw the planetary shield rising, all the ground troops on the surface of Holy Terra suddenly showed desperate eyes. Once the planetary shield is raised, it means that people outside can't get in, and people inside can't get out. They can't escape now even if they want to. For a moment, many Virgil warriors fell to their knees. It's over. Now I can't run away even if I want to. We can't fight again and again. We want to leave but can't. We might as well wait here to die. What's the point of continuing to fight? It's over, everything is over. Many Virgil warriors were despairing. They didn't even have the last chance to survive. And those flame warriors also knelt on the ground, and the flames on their bodies were also wilting. But the Protoss Colossus didn't care about this. The Protoss Colossus continued to slaughter these Virgil warriors and the Flame Man War King. Now that they are ready to invade, they must also be prepared to be killed. The Protoss Colossus will not stop because of their emotions. But apart from these soldiers on the ground, the most angry people now are the two fleets in outer space. Wu Miao and Long Yan drove the fleet towards the low Earth orbit of Holy Terra. Prepare for bombing operations in low Earth orbit. However, as they gradually approached Holy Terra, the planetary shield suddenly rose. Boom! One of the starships was caught off guard and directly installed a planetary shield. The next second, the starship was directly crushed to pieces by the impact generated by itself. The fire accompanying the explosion lit up in the starry sky. Other starships also quickly began to slow down, fearing that they would be equipped with planetary shields in front of them. You know, this layer of planetary shield is a powerful line of defense that can even block the bombing of the annihilation star. If you want to use a starship to knock it away, it is completely impossible. What's the situation? Looking at the planetary shield rising suddenly in front of him, Wei Jia was dumbfounded. Wasn't this planetary shield broken by them? Why did it suddenly appear now? If the starship pilots on their side were not strong enough, it is estimated that at least several starships in this wave would have hit the planetary shield and crashed before they had time to react. Hasn't this planetary shield been destroyed by us? Why is this thing showing up in front of us now? Faced with Wu Miao's questioning, Long Yan was also furious. How did he know about this problem? When the two of them were together, they both watched the planetary shield disappear. Now, this planetary shield appeared in front of them again. For a moment, even Long Yan felt that he couldn't understand it. We must have been tricked by this boy Chu Zhang. From the beginning, the planetary shield was not destroyed by us, but closed by that boy on his own initiative. The purpose of his doing this is to consume our Star Destroyer weapons and then lure us to airborne ground troops. Now, our ground troops are locked up inside. Even if we want to recall them, there is no way. At this time, Wu Miao also understood. From the beginning, they had fallen into Chu Yang's trap. Now, Chu Zhang has activated the planetary shield again. Their ground troops cannot be recalled, and even orbital bombing cannot be carried out. It's all in Chu Yang's plan. After Long Yan heard these words, he reacted belatedly. They were fooled. Got fooled by a human. At this moment, Long Yan felt that he and Wu Miao were like clowns. This human being is so cunning. So what do we do next? Is it possible to leave him alone like this? Leave it alone. How can it be? How could Wu Miao retreat after suffering such a big loss? He was humiliated by Chu Zhang last time. If he still can't defeat Chu Zhang this time, then this incident will become his inner demon forever. Boom. Keep blasting me. Even if you destroy the last round of ammunition, you still have to blast this turtle shell with me. At this time, Wu Miao has fallen into a state of madness. I was teased twice by the same person. In his career, no one had ever made him feel such humiliation. Now Wu Miao has been blinded by anger, and he has only one idea now. That is to crush Zhang to ashes at all costs. Seeing this, Long Yan had no choice but to follow Wu Miao's footsteps and use up his last ammunition to break the planetary shield. Now Long Yan can be said to be very regretful. He had known that Holy Terra's defense system was so powerful. He should not have waited until Chu Zhang unlocked the planetary defense system of Holy Terra before coming to Holy Terra to arrest Chu Zhang. Now, Chu Zhang is relying on the planetary shield of Holy Terra, and there is nothing they can do. Rumble. Wu Miao drove the fleet to distance itself, and then began to attack the planetary shield in front of him. The dense artillery seemed to be free of charge, pouring on the planetary shield. At this time, Wu Miao didn't even consider the issue of ammunition consumption. As long as the artillery was functioning, he put them all into the bombing of the planetary shield. For a time, the surface of the planetary shield was also flooded by endless artillery fire. A large amount of artillery ammunition landed on the surface of the planetary shield, causing ripples. Chu Zhang, who was sitting on the throne in the Emperor's Hall, chuckled as he watched Wu Miao and Long Yan's fleet desperately attack the planetary shield at all costs. The planetary shield was a defense system originally designed by the Emperor himself. The firepower of their two fleets alone is not enough to break through the planetary shield's defense. As for the energy consumed by the planetary shield, there is no need to worry. There are also a lot of energy ore reserves on your own ships. Just relying on those energy ore reserves, even if he persists in continuous bombing for several months, there will be no problem at all. But even if I can hold on for a few months, it doesn't mean that the opposite fleet's ammunition can hold on for a few months. As expected, during the continuous bombings, Wu Miao and Long Yan's ammunition reserves were consumed at an alarming rate. Not only that, under Wu Miao's strong request, Yinwang's artillery was also operating at high load. Now, many artillery pieces are in a cooling state and cannot be used normally. Great Emperor, our ammunition has been almost exhausted. That's right, if we continue like this, we can carry out 3 rounds of bombardment at most, and the ammunition will be exhausted. This planetary shield is a little too hard. We have been blasting it for so long and there is no reaction at all. Then what should we do next? After hearing the report from his subordinates, Wu Miao also hammered the seat hard. The seat made of alloy had a fist dent directly there. Wu Miao looked at the turtle shell-like planetary shield in front of him, and his teeth itched with anger. But even so, he still couldn't do anything about it. At this moment, Long Yan on the other side of the communication channel also said, "Wu Miao, there is no point in us continuing the bombing. My suggestion is that we surround Holy Terra. No matter how powerful Chu Zhang is, he will definitely need supplies. Holy Terra, there have been no living creatures for many years. As long as we surround Holy Terra, when Chu Yang's supplies are exhausted, he will naturally come out of this turtle shell. Quote. After hearing these words, Wu Miao immediately calmed down. Yes, food and water sources are limited on Holy Terra. In the past, there was no one living on Holy Terra, so it could naturally rely on various energy sources to survive. Now, Chu Zhong enters and still has many troops to support. Without regular supplies, it will be difficult to persist. Thinking of this, Wu Miao and Long also decided to carry out a plan to surround Holy Terra first. But at this moment, one of the crew members also discovered a fleet appearing on the back of Holy Terra. After seeing the trace of this fleet, the crew member immediately reported it to Long Yan and Wu Miao. The unknown fleet, or did it appear from the back of Holy Terra? Could it be that Chu Yang's fleet is preparing to escape? No, this fleet is coming for us. As the fleet continued to approach, everyone discovered that this fleet was the fleet under Chu Zhong. But their purpose was not to escape, but to run towards them. Are you kidding me? After seeing the size of the fleet on the opposite side, Wu Miao only felt a burst of laughter. Chu Yang's fleet combined is only one of 4,000 ships. However, the combined fleets of him and Long Yan have as many as 5,000 ships. With such a huge disparity in numbers, could Chu Zhong have gone crazy and actually sent his fleet to his door? Why are you still standing there? Can't the attack of 5,000 ships kill these ships in seconds? Aim at those ships. This guy Chu Zhong finally showed his flaws. Now that the planetary shield is still operating, even if these ships are damaged, there is no way to escape. From Wu Miao's point of view, this is a completely stupid move. Is it possible that Chu Zhong planned to use 40 ships to defeat the 5,000 ships composed of him and Long Yan? Rumble. Following a series of artillery launches, several artillery pieces fell on the leading Glory Queen class battleship. The void shield instantly swallowed up all these artillery pieces. Seeing these artillery attacks, Wu Miao was stunned. Are you disobeying my order? I asked you to attack, where are you? Great Emperor, our ammunition has almost been consumed, and many of the artillery have fallen into cooling due to overheating and cannot be used normally at all. What? After hearing the crew's report, Wu Miao suddenly felt something bad. No wonder Chu Yang's fleet came earlier than later, but they came at this time. It turned out that they had specifically targeted their fleet, and because attacking the planetary shield consumed a lot of firepower, they took the opportunity to get close to them. Wu Miao frowned and immediately ordered his subordinates. How many firepower systems are still functioning properly? It's estimated to be less than 1/10. Less than 1/10. Wu Miao touched her chin, feeling regretful in her heart. Was he on top at that time? Actually, almost all the ammunition was consumed directly. Later, Wu Miao also said to Long Yan, "Do you have any extra ammunition in stock over there?" "How is it possible? You were like crazy at that time. Do I dare to be lazy? It's okay now. Chu Yang's ships are all coming towards us, and we don't even have the strength to fight back." Hearing Long Yan's complaints, Wu Miao was also a little unconvinced. It was obvious that his anger was no less than mine at that time. At this time, you started to blame him again. Wu Miao looked at the approaching ship and issued an order to get off. All ships stop attacking, wait until the opponent's fleet approaches, and then concentrate their firepower to attack. Continuing to attack at this time is just a waste of effort. Chu Yang's fleet is still relatively far away from them, so the accuracy will inevitably drop a lot after the ammunition arrives. It is better to wait until Chu Yang's ship approaches and then concentrate the remaining firepower on the attack. In this case, the accuracy of the artillery will not only be greatly improved. During this period of time, their artillery can also cool down a lot, and the firepower becomes more fierce. It seems that Chu Zhong wants to take advantage of the lack of firepower due to our attack on the planetary shield to use his fleet to attack us. Oh, hasn't he ever thought about how his 40 ships alone can withstand the siege of our 5,000 ships? What can 40 ships do? If placed in our fleet, not even a shadow can be seen. Long Yan also fully agreed with Wu Miao's words. What kind of storm can 40 ships create? In the end, it's just a waste of life. At this moment, a Glory Queen class battleship appeared. Many Thunder Warriors stood in the corridor of the ship, holding chain swords, bolt guns and other lethal weapons in their hands. The entire ship was in dead silence, and the Thunder Warriors stood there like statues. But anyone who underestimates them will eventually pay a heavy price. On another ship, the man-eating shark legion was also ready to go. They were different from the Thunder Warriors. The suppressed bloodthirsty genes in their bodies have made them ready to act. But even so, they still maintained an extremely quiet state. This is the most terrifying thing about the man-eating sharks. The style of all their members in battle is stealth. Who knows when, a man-eating shark warrior will quietly appear behind you holding a chain axe. Then, they will swing the chain axe in their hands and give you the final fatal blow. This is the fighting style of the man-eating shark legion, just like the white sharks in the deep sea. Boom. At this moment, the Glory Queen class battleship also successfully approached one of the ships. Wu Miao and Long Yan did not hesitate at all. With an order, all the ships began to focus their fire to attack the Glory Queen class battleship in front of them. A large number of attacks landed on the Void Shield bit by bit, and were then transferred to the subspace by the Void Shield. One of the Glory Queen class battleships loaded with Thunder Warriors rushed straight into the opponent's fleet formation. A starship stands in front of the Glory Queen class battleship. The Glory Queen class battleship did not slow down at all, and the strong collision angle directly smashed the starship, blocking the road in front of it. Boom! With a burst of dazzling light shining in the starry sky, the Glory Queen class battleship turned on the macro cannons on both sides. A series of firelights lit up, and the next day's annihilation calendar fell directly on top of the shields of the numerous Virgil starships on both sides. With just one round of macro cannon fire, the armor of Virgil's starship was shattered. Immediately afterwards, the Glory Queen class battleship was launched again. But this time, what it fired was not artillery, but airdrop pods loaded with Thunder Warriors one after another. Bang, bang, bang. With a series of muffled sounds, the airdrop capsule carrying the Thunder Warriors crashed directly into the interior of the enemy starship. The surrounding Virgil warriors rushed over quickly after hearing the noise here. When they arrived at the scene, they also saw the airdrop cabin on the ground. At this moment, the airdrop cabin opened, and 5 Thunder Warriors also walked out of the airdrop cabin. After seeing these 5 Thunder Warriors, many Virgil warriors also showed deep fear in their eyes. What are you afraid of? They are just 5 people. That's right, there are 100 people here, they should be the ones to be afraid of. Surround up and destroy all these intruders. Boom. Before he finished speaking, a gunshot was heard. One of the Thunder Warriors directly used a bolt gun to kill the Virgil warrior who spoke. The bomb landed on Virgil's soldier's head, blowing his head to pieces. Seeing this scene, the surrounding Virgil soldiers felt an uneasiness quietly spreading in their hearts. Several Thunder Warriors took out all their equipment from the airdrop cabin slowly. The surrounding Virgil soldiers watched blankly as the 5 Thunder Warriors took out various equipment from the airdrop pods and equipped them. Even so, after seeing the fate of the last Virgil soldier, none of them dared to act lightly. Click. As the last weapon was installed, one of the Thunder Warriors set his sights on the Virgil soldiers. Where is the bridge? As soon as these words came out, many Virgil soldiers looked at each other. Just when they were hesitant to speak, 10 gunshots were fired from Roron. Boom! Another Virgil soldier's head exploded. The Thunder Warriors didn't talk nonsense to them at all. The 5 Thunder Warriors held bolt guns and fired wildly. After a burst of gunpowder smoke, out of 100 Virgil soldiers, only 1 Virgil soldier was left sitting there slumped and shivering. The Virgil soldier looked at the 5 Thunder Warriors in front of him with fear in his eyes. There were only 5 of these monsters, and they slaughtered all of their 100-man army. With such terrifying fighting power, are they really human beings? At this moment, one of the Thunder Warriors put a bolt gun on the head of the Virgil soldier. I ask again, where is the bridge? After seeing the horrors of purgatory around him, how dare that Virgil soldier hide anything? After obtaining the location of the bridge, the Thunder Warrior also shot the Virgil soldier on his way. The 5 Thunder Warriors picked up the chain sword in one hand and the bolter in the other hand, and began to move towards the bridge where Virgil's soldier said. Along the way, any Virgil soldiers blocking the road can't escape the bolter bullets. At the same time, on another Virgil starship, many Virgil warriors looked at the man-eating shark warrior wearing power armor with solemn expressions. As one of the man-eating shark warriors activated the power claws on both arms, the hunt began. Before many Virgil soldiers could react, the man-eating shark warriors rushed forward. The man-eating shark warrior with powerful combat ability uses the power claws of his arms to attack the Virgil soldiers in front of him. Along with a series of screams, the man-eating shark warrior killed hundreds of Virgil soldiers by himself. During the battle, the man-eating shark warrior also fell into madness. Wherever he goes, any creature that appears in his field of vision will be torn into pieces by him. Thunder Warrior and Man-Eating Shark Legion, these two super soldiers jumped to join the Virgil starship. It was a complete disaster for Virgil Warrior. At this time, Wu Miao also received a distress signal from the Virgil starship. Emperor, help, there is a group of madmen on our starship, and we can't stop it. Madman, could it be that Chu Yang's troops jumped gangs and invaded their starship? Wu Miao also asked quickly. How many people are there on the other side and how is their equipment? Yes, there are 5 people opposite. 5 people. Wu Miao was stunned for a moment and made sure she heard correctly. 5 people, you know, there are at least thousands of combatants on a starship. Thousands of Virgil warriors, can't even handle 5 people. I don't have time to joke with you. How can 5 people deal with you? If you continue to lie about military information, I will be the first to kill you when the war is over. Before he finished speaking, a scream came from the communication channel on the opposite side. Immediately afterwards, the communication channel was hung up. Wu Miao's heart skipped a beat. The signal from the starship calling for help was also cut off. Now even if Wu Miao wanted to know the situation there, she couldn't do anything. At this moment, another distress signal came over. Wu Miao immediately connected, and then there was a scream from the other side. Great Emperor, save me. He is a monster. What's going on? Have you been attacked there too? How many people are there on the other side? There's one opposite, but he's a monster. What? There's only one person opposite. One man strangled his entire starship of Virgil warriors. What a joke. Before Wu Miao could speak, she heard the sound of the iron door being torn apart from the opposite side. The next second, screams sounded, and Miao could hear the sound of blood spurting out. Immediately afterwards, the communication on the other side was also hung up. Wu Miao panicked now. This is already the second starship to have lost contact. But then, something even more frightening happened. Third, fourth, fifth. More and more Virgil starships escaped from the flagship's control, and the communication channel on the opposite side also fell into a state of no one answering. At this time, Wu Miao began to feel a chill in her back. Long Yan, how is the situation over there? At this time, Long Yan had no time to deal with Wu Miao. The situation on his side is not much better than that on Wu Miao's side. The starship on Long Yan's side was also invaded by many high-level Templars. The attacks of high-level Templars were a natural nemesis for energy creatures like them, the Flame Man. It only takes 5 high-level Templars to kill all the pyros in a ship. Help, we are under attack from a large number of Protoss fanatics. Attack, we need support. Shut up, we need more support here. The high-level Templars of the Protoss have boarded the ship, and we need support. Emperor, please help us, our troops can't stop these high-level Templars at all. No, those high-level Templar warriors are catching up. For a time, many starships also lost contact. Long Yan's complexion was not much better than Wu Miao's. They never imagined that the weapons Chu Yang's ships used to defeat them were not weapons on the ships at all. The real weapons are those space marines and Templars who jumped gangs into the starship. These space warriors and high-level Templar warriors all possess extremely powerful combat effectiveness. Once you join the gang on a starship, it will be like a tiger joining a flock of sheep and slaughtering them wantonly. Now, their starships have begun to become paralyzed one after another. It will only be a matter of time before the remaining starships are paralyzed. At this time, Long Yan looked out the window, and suddenly his expression changed drastically. He saw outside the window a huge Glory Queen-class battleship slowly approaching his flagship. Boom! At this moment, the entire starship's hull began to vibrate. Long Yan felt something bad, and then he heard a sound coming from the communication channel. Report to the Emperor. We found an airdrop pod in the cabin at the rear of the starship. This airdrop pod seems to have been shot in by the battleship just opposite. As soon as these words came out, Long Yan suddenly felt a chill in his back. When he thought of the fate of other starships, his expression changed drastically. Quick, gather everyone and head to the stern of the ship immediately. We must not let the thing in the empty cabin come to the bridge. And Wu Miao also received a gift from the Glory Queen class battleship. A total of 10 airdrop pods also hit his cabin directly. Having seen the strength of the monsters in these airdrop pods, Wu Miao also drew his kinetic sword, and his psychic power also gathered around him. Subsequently, Wu Miao asked many Virgil warriors to go to the place where the airdrop pod was located. Many Virgil warriors also surrounded the airdrop cabin in front of them. PFF faint. The door of the airdrop cabin opened. The moment the door opened, Wu Miao gave the order directly. A large number of bullets poured into the airdrop cabin like a heavy rain. And the next second, a storm grenade flew directly out of the airdrop cabin. Boom! There was a loud noise, and thick smoke instantly filled the entire cabin. In the smoke, 10 man-eating shark warriors rushed out of the airdrop pod. It's hunting time. Chu Zhong really thinks he can take down my entire flagship with just 10 monsters. Looking at the 10 man-eating shark warriors in front of him, Wu Miao also drew out his kinetic sword, and his spiritual energy began to operate. At this time, the momentum he displayed was like that of the Emperor of the Star Sea. The surrounding Virgil warriors saw their emperor's high-spirited appearance, and their morale greatly increased. However, the man-eating shark warrior on the opposite side did not accept this trick at all. They have only one goal, and that is to defeat all enemies wherever they look. One of the man-eating shark warriors stretched out his arms, and a series of electric sparks burst out from his power claws. The next second, the man-eating shark warrior rushed directly into the Virgil soldiers. Only then did many Virgil soldiers react and immediately raised their weapons to fight back. A series of attacks fell on the man-eating shark warrior's power armor, leaving only a few scratches. The man-eating shark warrior came to a Virgil soldier, raised his hand and released a claw. The armor on Virgil's soldiers was as fragile as cardboard in the face of the claw attacks of the man-eating shark warriors. Seeing his own soldiers being slaughtered crazily by the man-eating shark warriors, Wu Miao was furious. You monsters, how dare you ignore me? Psychic power exploded, and Wu Miao raised the kinetic sword in his hand and aimed at the man-eating shark warrior who was slaughtering among the crowd. But at this moment, Wu Miao suddenly felt a chill in his back. As a psychic, his sixth sense told him that if he didn't turn back immediately, his life might end here. Wu Miao quickly turned around, and what came into view was the man-eating shark warrior leaping up with a chain axe in his hand. Die! The cold light suddenly appeared, and the chainsaw axe, carrying the man-eating shark warrior's violent blood energy, slashed directly towards Wu Miao. Wu Miao reacted quickly and immediately used the kinetic sword in his hand to resist. When the kinetic energy sword and the chain axe collided, and a series of sparks burst out. A huge force was automatically transferred to the sharp sword and passed into Wu Miao's arms. Wu Miao only felt a numbness in her arms, and she couldn't help but feel horrified in her heart. What exactly are these monsters? Just by resisting this axe, my arm was numb. If it were an ordinary person, let alone blocking this blow, his arms would be directly shattered the moment he touched the chainsaw axe. The power of these monsters is amazing. But at this moment, Wu Miao discovered that a man-eating shark warrior had arrived beside him without knowing when. His fists are equipped with power gloves, energy is injected into them, and the power gloves burst out with amazing power. Boom! The man-eating shark warrior punched Wu Miao in the waist. Wu Miao immediately used psychic energy to open a shield, but faced the charged bombardment of the power fist. The next second, Wu Miao flew out directly and hit the wall of the ship hard. Wu Miao felt dizzy for a while, and when he came back to his senses, his eyes widened. 2 man-eating shark warriors holding chain axes came to him silently. The chain axe struck at him at an extremely fast speed, and the target was his head. Wu Miao was suddenly frightened and broke into a cold sweat, and immediately mobilized her spiritual energy to resist. They are all monsters. Wu Miao, who had once again escaped a blow, now completely lost the demeanor that the Qinghai Emperor should have. He rolled and fled towards the hatch. Now he only has one idea, and that is to escape immediately. These guys are monsters. If you continue to fight with them like this, your head may be cut off at some point. At this moment, Wei Miao's communication system also popped up a message. This news came from Long Yan. But at this time, Wu Miao doesn't have the time to deal with Long Yan. Now there is only one thought in his mind, and that is to escape. Long Yan's side was not much better. Several high-level Templar warriors jumped directly to his ship. These high-level Templar warriors possess extremely powerful psychic control abilities. They walked among the ships, facing many flame man warriors. They only needed one finger with one hand. A psychic storm exploded directly in the center of many flame man warriors. The powerful explosion shock wave directly blew those flame people to pieces. You're just a group of low-level energy creatures. I thought you were so capable. Loskati, remember our mission and ignore these low-energy creatures. The two high-level Templars also communicated with each other. To them, these flame people were just low-energy creatures. BDCB. As Protoss, they were once one of the strongest civilizations in the universe. Dealing with these flame men is easy. We left 2 people to guard the location of the escape cabin, and the others followed me to the bridge. The leading high-ranking Templar warrior also knew it very well. If Long Yan wants to escape, he will definitely go to the escape cabin. In order to prevent this guy from escaping their pursuit, 2 high-level Templar warriors were left to guard the location of the escape cabin. This can be regarded as sealing Long Yan's last road. At this moment, Long Yan, who was on the bridge, also looked solemn. Where did this guy Wu Miao go? He originally wanted to ask Yu Miao to send troops to help him deal with these high-level Templar warriors. But now it seems that the Wu Miao side may not be able to protect itself. Long Yan was like an ant on a hot pot at this moment. If other races came to invade, he would not be afraid at all. With his physical characteristics and strong combat experience, almost no one can escape from his hands alive. But Chu Zhong also obviously considered this problem when facing the flame man whose whole body was made of flames. No matter whether they send out thunder warriors or man-eating sharks, they are not enough to easily crush the flame man troops. Therefore, after careful consideration, he used these high-level Templar warriors to deal with the pyroman. It is obvious that these high-level Templar warriors are simply nemesis to the flame race. Long Yan was in despair at this moment. He didn't expect that there were so many monsters under Chu Zhong. The most important thing is that from the beginning, they were manipulated by Chu Zhong. The ground troops were completely wiped out and all their ammunition was used up. In the end, facing the enemy's gang-hopping war, they had no power to fight back. Boom. At this moment, the bridge door was blasted open by a psychic ball. Several high-level Templar warriors also appeared in front of Long Yan. It's all over. Along with this, a series of good news came frequently. Chu Zhong in the Emperor's Hall also breathed a sigh of relief. Faced with the siege of 2 Emperor-level forces, if you say you are not nervous, that would be a lie. Every step of the plan you make, if you make a mistake, you will lose everything. But fortunately, everything came to the most appropriate ending according to his plan. Soon, Wu Miao and Long Yan were escorted to Chu Zhong. Seeing the appearance of the 2 great emperors, Chu Zhong couldn't help but smile. Wu Miao, the once high-spirited and vigorous emperor, now looked around like a frightened bird. He was afraid that if he wasn't careful, a man-eating shark warrior would appear with a chain axe and give him a fatal blow. The other emperor Liang was even more miserable. He was directly stuffed into a jar by the high-level Templar warriors. He was as ridiculous as a clown. Wu Miao and Long Yan looked at Chu Zhong sitting on the throne, with a trace of regret on their faces. They never expected that the 2 of them would fall into the hands of a human being. Chu Zhong glanced at Wu Miao and Long Yan, and then said calmly, "Did the Star God send you to kill me?" Star God. Wu Miao glanced at Long Yan. It was obvious that at this time, he also realized that Long Yan was hiding something from him. Seeing Wu Miao looking at Long Yan with a blank expression, Chu Zhong also understood. Long Yan should be the only chess piece controlled by the Star God. As for Wu Miao, it was obvious that she was deceived by Long Yan. Thinking of this, Chu Zhong also waved his hand. The man-eating shark warrior behind Wu Miao was immediately clear. PFF'd. The hand raised the knife and dropped it, and the head fell to the ground. Wu Miao, the great emperor of the Wild Hunt, has fallen. Seeing Wu Miao's head rolling in front of him, Long Yan was immediately frightened to death. Spare your life. Spare your life. I will say anything. The star god sent me to deal with you. I don't know anything else. I'm just a pawn under the star god. I really don't know anything. Chu Zhong, on the other hand, looked at Long Yan in front of him with an indifferent expression. If I don't get some information from Long Yan, I'm afraid this battle will be in vain. Saying that, Chu Zhong also asked Long Yan, besides you, who else has had contact with the star god? You'd better tell some useful information, otherwise you will end up like him. Seeing the lifeless Wu Miao on the ground, Long Yan also quickly named a few forces he knew that were connected to the star god. After listening to the information Long Yan said, Chu Zhong also narrowed his eyes slightly. It seems that although the star gods cannot come to this universe, their influence can easily change the pattern of the entire universe. Among the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors alone, half of the forces are influenced by the star god. And these forces have probably listed themselves as the most wanted targets now. Thinking of this, Chu couldn't help but feel that the task was very difficult. Perhaps from the moment he accepted the emperor's gene seed, he was destined to be an enemy of these forces. Thinking of this, Chu Zhong also waved his hand. The high-ranking Templar warriors who received the order also understood. Long Yan saw himself being taken away by these high-level Templar warriors, and felt panicked in his heart. Chu Zhong, didn't you say you would let me go as long as I provided information? Faced with Long Yan's questioning, Chu Zhong smiled faintly. When did I say I would let you go? As soon as these words came out, Long Yan's face suddenly turned ashen. He was fooled. From the beginning, Chu Zhong had no intention of letting him go. Then, with Long Yan's scream, the 2 great emperors also fell into the sea of stars. Finally, the High Templar returns. But at this time, the jar containing dragon flames in his hand only contained a pile of ashes. Give me the news of these 2 people's deaths. Yes, under the control of Chu Zhong, the news of the death of the 2 great emperors quickly spread throughout the Star Sea. Everyone's first reaction to the news was naturally disbelief. Who knows the titles of Wild Hunt Emperor and Sun Emperor? But now, they were defeated at the hands of a human. How can it be? This is simply a big joke. Could this human being be so crazy about being famous that he actually said he had defeated 2 great emperors? If it were the human emperor of the old era who said this, I might still believe it, but what has become of human beings now? How dare you say that? I'm afraid this kid is tired of living. If he spreads news like this, the 2 heavenly emperors will definitely not sit idly by and watch. Let's just wait and see the good show. Everyone sneered at the news spread by Chu Zhong. But soon, as time went by, everyone began to discover something was wrong. After Chu Zhong made a crazy declaration, the 2 emperors didn't react at all. Not only that, the Virgil clan and the Flame clan announced at the same time that all territories were closed and entered a state of blockade. Everything seemed to indicate that something earth-shattering was about to happen. At this moment in Holy Terra, the huge military factory is operating again. A large amount of weapons were transported. Numerous pilot titans guard the vicinity of the arsenal day and night, not allowing anyone to approach. The star forge of the Spear of Adon was also filled with the roar of machinery all night long. Chu Zhong sat high on the throne and watched the system progress bar getting closer and closer to the end. Except for Blue Star, Holy Terra's check-in is often the longest. At this time, Chu Zhong hopes that the sign in reward will reward him with a huge mortal army. Now he owns the Star Forge of the Spear of Adon and the arsenal of Holy Terra. The equipment you make is enough to arm a large number of mortal troops. But it is a pity that although the troops under his command are all the elite among the elite, they are all extremely rare without exception. He needs more soldiers, because next, his goal is to regain Al. According to the information provided by the high-ranking Templars, there are still many former technologies that have not been taken away on the El home planet. If he can regain Ire, he can find the former Protoss database and obtain a large amount of Protoss technology. These Star Spirit technologies plus the technology left behind by Holy Terra, the combination of the 2 may not be able to compete with those star gods. Of course, the premise is that they can fight their way out of the hundreds of millions of Zerg on Al's home planet. With the troops he currently has in his hands, it is simply wishful thinking to recapture air. At this moment, the system prompt also sounded. Ding, congratulations, you successfully signed into Holy Terra. When he heard the system sound, Chujong also cheered up. The sign-in is finally completed. I don't know what good things the sign-in rewards will bring this time. After all, the sign-in time required by this sign-in system on Holy Terra is second only to Blue Star. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in and getting a teleportation Stargate. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in and getting 100 sword-class frigates. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in and obtaining the Emperor's Power, Curse-Bound Legion. Ding, congratulations on your successful sign-in and obtaining the Special Energy, L's Light. The 4 system sign-in rewards also made Chujong feel happy. During this period of time, I did not wait in vain. These 4 sign-in rewards, each one is rarer than the last. Let's not talk about the first teleportation Stargate, this is a good thing. The existence of the Stargate allows his fleet to quickly reach the area where another Stargate is located in a short period of time. The transmission between the 2 Stargates ignores the distance and will not cause any consumption of the space engine. This means that no matter how far apart the 2 planet territories are, as long as there is a Stargate. Once one of the planet's territories is attacked, support from the other planet's territory will soon arrive on the battlefield. However, the only drawback of the teleportation Stargate is that it is expensive to build. If it is not a planet territory that is very important to the force, basically the teleportation Stargate will not be erected casually. Chujong was more curious, since the system rewarded him with a teleportation Stargate. So where is the end of this teleportation Stargate connected to? With this problem in mind, Chujong also set his sights on the second system reward. 100 sword-class frigates. The sword-class frigate is only 1.6 kilometers long. Compared with behemoths like the Glory Queen-class battleship, its stature can be said to be very small. But even so, it is still the most commonly used frigate in the Imperial Navy in the Warhammer world. As the most commonly used frigate in the Imperial Navy, the sword-class frigate has extremely powerful defense capabilities. Its void shield can also provide the maximum protection capability for a ship of this tonnage. Compared to other ships, the sword-class frigate can absorb more damage. Moreover, the plasma engine it is equipped with is so powerful that any mechanical priest can easily maintain it. Because of this, the sword-class frigates can be widely used in the Imperial Navy. Now 100 sword-class frigates have added strength to Chu Yang's fleet. Then, Chujong looked at the third reward. The Emperor's Power, the Cursed Legion. According to rumors, the Cursed Legion is a ghostly army that only obeys the Emperor's orders. The Legion is built from the souls of fallen Astartes. Ordinary physical attacks have minimal effect on them, and their fighting style is also extremely efficient. Now, after Chujong obtained the Emperor's gene seed, he will gain another authority of the Emperor. Summon the Legion of the Wasted. This can't help but make Chu Yang's own strength improve again. After all, with such a powerful legion guarding him, how could he not feel safe? After learning about the Cursed Legion, Chujong also looked at the last system reward, L's Light. Chujong took this L light out of the system space. The moment he took out the light of L, the spiritual power containing vitality burst out. This powerful psychic power radiates from the Emperor's Hall to the entire Holy Terra. For a time, the originally dead plants in Holy Terra showed faint signs of recovery. Upon seeing this, Chujong immediately put away the Ellsword. Good guy. Thanks to the system, this Ellsword is so powerful. Chujong can feel that the spiritual power contained in L's light is an extremely active life spiritual energy. Once the spiritual energy inside is fully released, it will be enough to transform a desolate Death Star into a habitable Gaia planet in a short period of time. This is the power of Ellsword. Looking at L's light in the system space, Chujong couldn't help but smile. No wonder this item is called Ellsword. Isn't this an item specially prepared for the time when he is about to regain L? However, Chujong was a little disappointed that none of the 4 rewards could bring him a huge number of troops. In this way, I can only look for a more reliable recruiting world. Otherwise, it would still be a bit difficult to conquer the entire Zerg army on Al's home planet with just his current strength. After all, his goal this time is to conquer Al. Therefore, when it comes to fighting, it is definitely not possible to directly conduct orbital bombing on the worm nest planet as before. Moreover, the Zerg on the Ire planet have existed for a long time, and their combat capabilities must be more powerful than the Zerg on the Zerg Hive planet. After thinking about it, Chu Jong also opened the database of Holy Terra. The human empire once had a vast territory, and there must have been many recruiting worlds. Maybe I could get a large number of soldiers from those planets. Unexpectedly, at this moment, Jong also received an unknown signal. After seeing this unknown signal, Chu Jong was also confused. Because this signal was not sent to him, but to Holy Terra. In other words, the source of this signal is a world inseparable from Holy Terra. Thinking of this, Chu Jong also immediately received this signal. Great Emperor, we pray to you, hoping that you can answer the call of your people again. These Zerg want to invade your territory, we will definitely defend every inch of your territory. Breathing is war, death is tranquility. Living is shame, dying is atonement. When Chu Jong deciphered the meaning of this series of signals, he couldn't help but be curious about the signal sender. From reading between the lines, he could feel the other party's almost fanatical loyalty to the Emperor. It can be felt between the lines of their words that their loyalty to the Emperor has exceeded their attitude towards life and death. Chu Jong is very curious about what kind of world is on the other side of this signal. Therefore, Chu Jong also traced the source of the signal. When he traced the direction of the signal source, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Because the direction of the signal source is from the world behind the teleportation star gate. In other words, the planet where these fanatical Emperor believers live is right behind the teleportation star gate. It was precisely because of the emergence of the teleportation star gate that he was able to receive the signals from these fanatical believers. Chu Jong could sense the devotion of these fanatical believers to the Emperor. So, Chu Jong decided to go to the opposite star through the teleportation star gate. If there are enough powerful warriors on this star, I wouldn't mind using this planet as one of my recruiting worlds. As soon as he said it, Chu Jong also decisively activated the Spear of Adon and came to the opposite world through the huge teleportation star gate. As the scene in front of him changed, Chu Jong also came to another galaxy. Looking at the many stars in front of him, Chu Jong also turned on the signal tracking device. Finally, he set his sights on a planet full of radiation. Warning, it has been detected that the surface of the planet is full of radiation and poisonous gas. Please wear protective equipment when landing. After seeing the prompt about the Spear of Adon, Chu Jong couldn't help but frown. Can civilization really exist on such a planet full of radiation and poisonous gas? Chu Jong couldn't believe it. After confirming again and again, he was sure that the signal was sent from this planet. Looking at the planet in front of him, Chu Jong couldn't believe it. On a planet with such a harsh environment, what are the people living on it like? After careful consideration, Chu Jong also used drones to collect some soil samples from the planet's surface. Subsequently, based on the environmental data on the surface, Stark Laboratory and Starforge were used to create a set of armor that could cope with the harsh environment of the planet. Although Chu Jong is now a psychic, as long as he mobilizes his psychic energy, he can easily form a psychic shield around his body to block all radiation and poisonous gases. But psychic power is limited after all. In order to avoid having no means to deal with emergencies, Chu Jong still chose to use Stark Labs to create the corresponding armor. After the armor was completed, Chu Jong landed directly on the surface of the planet. At the same time, 2 battle nuns also followed Chu Jong to the ground as bodyguards. After arriving on the ground, Chu Jong also put on customized protective armor. On the surface of this planet, there are ruins everywhere, and there are even some ruins left. Through the remains of these ruins, Chu Jong was also able to judge that this planet was at least once a prosperous planet. But why it has become this dead world with no grass growing and radiation everywhere, Chu Jong doesn't know. Chu Jong continued walking, hoping to encounter a civilized settlement on the surface of the planet. I don't know how long it took, but Chu Jong finally spotted a village in the distance. Oh my god, I didn't expect that there is actually civilization on the surface of this planet. Chu Jong found it hard to believe how humans survived on this planet. But Chu Jong also walked forward quickly, and soon came to the vicinity of the village. When he got closer to the village, Chu Zhang discovered that the village was not a real village. Instead, it was a small gathering of various businessmen. At this gathering, all kinds of businessmen from all corners of the Star Sea also wore radiation suits. On their stalls, there are some simple food and water sources. 1 pound of wheat bread only requires 100 nuclear batteries. Have you brought everything? 50 nuclear batteries can be exchanged for 1 bottle of pure water. It's an advantage for you. I think your equipment is pretty good. I'll give you a glass of water in exchange. The supplies in the hands of these traders are only food and water, and their traders are a group of weirdos wearing military coats, plastic helmets and gas masks. And these so-called weirdos wandered from stall to stall. When they encounter the materials they want, they will not hesitate to use the resources they have to exchange them. If there is no desired material, they will quietly walk away. They didn't counteroffer or speak. They just walked among the stalls, like silent travelers. And those businessmen seemed not to be surprised by these taciturn weirdos. This was not the first time they had dealt with these weirdos. These businessmen are also risking their lives. Danger brought these materials to this planet called Purgatory. Therefore, even though their asking price was extremely high, those weirdos did not complain at all. At this moment, Chu Zhang heard the all-too-familiar voice again. Ouch! Isn't this little brother Chu Zhang? Hearing this voice, Chu Zhang also looked in the same direction. I saw a vendor standing in a dilapidated house. After seeing it, he also called Chu Zhang over. Chu Zhang was a little curious, how did this vendor know his name? When he got closer, the vendor also said excitedly, "It's me, I'm Lao Huang. I've seen your armor from a long way away. Who else but you can build such exquisite armor? The two of us are so destined to meet each other on such a nondescript planet." Lao Huang. Chu Zhang also recalled this businessman who had a close relationship with him. Unexpectedly, I could meet him on this purgatory-like planet. Old Huang, why are you here? Lao Huang pointed to the stall in front of him and smiled. Isn't this all about making a living? Chu Zhang took a look at the products on Lao Huang's stall. They were all ubiquitous food and water sources. Pick up a piece of wheat bread. This kind of wheat bread is on Blue Star. 1 star coin is enough to buy about a pound. How much can you sell this wheat bread for here? Lao Huang glanced at Chu Zhang, and then stretched out a finger. 100 star coins. You guys are really shady. But then, Lao Huang shook his head. Chu Zhang was stunned for a moment, and then said tentatively, 1,000 star coins. No, it's 10,000 star coins. 10,000 star coins. Chu Zhang didn't expect that this wheat panel would become so precious on this planet. And Lao Huang also said very calmly, food worth 1 star coin on other planets can be sold for 10,000 star coins here. Water sources worth 1 star coin on other planets can be sold for 100,000 star coins here. This is the current situation of this planet. On this planet that is comparable to Purgatory, food and water are as valuable as gold. Chu Zhang looked at the vendors around him. No wonder these vendors risked being eroded by radiation to come to this planet to sell water and food. Water and food, which were originally very cheap, have become materials comparable to gold in this purgatory-like place. For this highly profitable business, these businessmen have been risking their lives. But what Chu Zhang is most curious about right now is, where is this planet? What does it have to do with Holy Terra? Why do they continue to live here when the environment of this planet is already so bad? Of course, if you want to obtain this information, you must spend money to buy information from Lao Huang. And Lao Huang seemed to understand Chu Yang's thoughts. Brother Chu Zhang, do you want to buy some information from me? Of course, how much do you know about this place? Chu Zhang is new here, and Lao Huang must have been here for a while, so he must know a lot more about the situation here than Chu Zhang. Unexpectedly, when Chu Zhang was about to pay, Lao Huang waved his hand. I won't take your money this time. No charge. Chu Zhang looked at Lao Huang and wondered, has this guy changed his temper? As an honest and unscrupulous merchant, I had spent quite a lot of star coins to purchase information from him. This time he actually said he would not charge money. This is not like you, Lao Huang. Lao Huang glanced at the weirdos milling around in front of the stall and signaled Chu Zhang to come to him. Later, Lao Huang also said very seriously. This time I provide you with information, which can be regarded as my doing good deeds. Have you seen those weirdos in military coats and gas masks? They are the indigenous people living here. Although the surface of the planet is extremely desolate, in fact they all live at the bottom. The population of these indigenous people in the underground and bunker buildings is at least 1 billion. 1 billion people. Hearing this number of people, Chu Zhong even wondered if he had heard wrongly. Can such a planet full of radiation and poisonous gas really be able to breed farmhouses with a population of 100 million? But Lao Huang said so, and Chu Zhong had to believe it. And Lao Huang continued to provide information. This planet was once one of the Emperor's military source planets, which means that the natives on this planet are all the Emperor's soldiers. But later, the Emperor disbanded the Empire, and the planet lost contact with Holy Terra. Even so, the natives on this planet still believe in the Emperor. As long as the Emperor returns, they will definitely become the sharpest sword in the Emperor's hand. But I advise you not to speak ill of the Emperor when you go here. These guys' worship of the Emperor has reached a fever pitch. If you maliciously slander the Emperor, you probably won't even be able to escape from this planet. The Emperor's former source of troops. At this time, Chu Zhong finally understood. No wonder I was able to receive a name from this star. It turns out that this planet was one of the Emperor's source planets. Chu Zhong was also sizing up these soldiers, wondering how effective these natives were in fighting. If possible, I wouldn't mind recruiting them as my own mortal troops. Now that he has inherited the Emperor's gene seed, he should be regarded as the Emperor's agent. With his own identity, it should be possible to drive these cadres to fight for him. At this time, Lao Huang also patted him on the shoulder. The reason why I tell you this is because I hope you can improve the living environment of these people. After all, these indigenous people have been living in this hellish environment. Except for those buggers, there should be no other creatures that can endure such a harsh environment. Lao Huang also expressed deep sympathy for these indigenous people. After learning most of the information about this planet, Chu Zhong also decided to try to see if he could turn this planet into his own troop source planet. At this time, the surrounding vendors also let out a cry of surprise. After hearing the exclamations of these vendors, Lao Huang's expression changed and he quickly put away his stall. Many vendors also put away their stalls, and Chu Zhong quickly asked after seeing this. What happened? What are you doing? The sandworms are coming. Sandworm. Following Lao Huang's gaze, Chu Zhong looked into the distance. I saw an unknown figure approaching among the ruins in the distance. When the figure got closer and closer, Chu Zhong discovered that the figure turned out to be a huge giant insect. I saw this giant sandworm, which was 3 to 4 meters in size, with a big bloody mouth on its head. Its huge body shuttled back and forth among the ruins, and it moved quickly. Rumble. The sandworm sank directly into the ground and disappeared. But everyone knows very well that this sandworm is traveling wildly underground at the moment, ready to emerge from the ground at any time to give them a fatal blow. Many vendors also fled in a hurry, and Mu Guan also quickly pulled Chu Zhong. Brother Chu Zhong, run away too. Zergs are all social creatures. Now that a sandworm appears here, it means that more sandworms will attack us next. While those swarms haven't caught up yet, do we still have a chance to escape? Chu Yang's eyes fell on the natives, and he saw that the natives took off the firearms from their backs. They calmly installed the bayonet at the muzzle of the gun, and then pushed the bullet into the magazine. Seeing the calm expressions of the natives, Chu Zhong couldn't help but ask Lao Huang. Why don't they leave? You also said that sandworms are social creatures. If there is one, more will appear. There are only a few of them. If they are standing here now, aren't they dying in vain? Lao Huang sighed. This is also the weirdest thing about these natives. They will not leave. They are loyal to the Emperor and regard this land as the Emperor's territory. These invading Zerg are the Emperor's enemies. So, before the enemy is annihilated, even if you die, you must still cause damage to the enemy. This is also the most terrifying thing about them. They regard their lives as a feather, and their loyalty to the Emperor is greater than their own lives. Hearing these words, Chu Yang's eyes lit up. Instead, he became interested in these natives. Later, he also said to Lao Huang, "You go first, I will watch here for a while." Old Huang glanced at the armor on Chu Yang's body, and then remembered his glorious achievements on the insect nest planet. After hesitating for a moment, Lao Huang also ran away decisively. Chu Zhang, on the other hand, looked at the natives, holding guns and aiming at the open space in front of him. Rumble. Just then, the sandworm suddenly appeared. The natives fired decisively, and several laser bullets landed directly on the sandworm. The sandworm let out a sharp scream, and then its huge body pressed directly towards the natives. However, it is obvious that this is not the first time for those kings to deal with them. They quickly dodged away, and then took advantage of the bunker in the ruins to fight against the sandworms. Watching these natives fighting among the ruins and bunkers, Chu Zhang also touched his chin. The psychological quality of these soldiers is quite good, but unfortunately their fighting methods are still somewhat backward. However, as long as they are given enough sophisticated equipment, they can become excellent soldiers. Thinking of this, Chu Zhang also decided to help these Wang Luo. At the same time, he also decided to try to see if he could recruit these natives as his own soldiers. Just when Chu Zhang had just made his decision, the ground under his feet began to tremble slightly. Rumble. Immediately afterwards, many sandworms appeared in Chu Yang's field of vision again. Sure enough, Lao Huang was right, these insects are social creatures. Once one appears, other sandworms are surely on their way. When the natives saw the number of sandworms far exceeding their own, they did not hesitate to take out a grenade from their arms and prepared to step forward and kill these sandworms together. Whoosh! At this moment, a laser also directly hit the sandworm in front of him. The sandworm's huge body was directly split in half by the laser fired from Chu Yang's armor. Then, Chu Zhang waved his hand. As a strange wind blew by, many strange space warriors wearing black power armor appeared behind him. These strange space warriors wearing black power armor, holding bolt guns, also aimed at the sandworms. Bang, bang, bang. Along with a series of gunshots, the sandworms were unable to withstand the impact of the shotguns. With just one round of shooting, half of the sandworms were killed. The natives also stopped what they were doing, and became obviously excited when they saw the Cursed Legion summoned by Chu Zhang. Immediately afterwards, these Cursed Legion soldiers also raised their bolters and launched another attack. Upon seeing this, the remaining sandworms also attacked towards the Cursed Legion. But the next second, two battle nuns stepped forward directly. The power sword flashed a cold light in the air, and the remaining sandworms were beheaded directly. A group of sandworms were killed by Chu Zhang just like that. At this time, the natives came directly to Chu Zhang and knelt down directly. Your Majesty the Emperor, it is really you. You really didn't give up on us, you really heard our prayers. Dear Your Majesty the Emperor, we are very sorry that we failed to defend your territory, which resulted in your territory being eroded by the Zerg. But please don't worry, we have found the location of the Zerg mother nest, and we will kill every Zerg without leaving a trace. Many natives also expressed their loyalty to Chu Zhang. Obviously, they have regarded Chu Zhang as the emperor. Because now Chu Zhang not only possesses the emperor's gene seed, but is also the current master of Holy Terra, not to mention he can also summon the Cursed Legion. The Cursed Legions are a special legion of Astartes who serve directly under the emperor's command. Chu Zhang looked at the many indigenous people in front of him and told them sincerely. He is just an ordinary person who possesses the Emperor's gene seed, inherits the Holy Terra, and possesses one of the Emperor's powers. After listening to Chu Yang's explanation, several natives also looked at each other. Finally, one of the natives was also a little confused. But don't these prove that you are the noble Emperor? Hearing this sentence, Chu Zhang was also speechless. It seems that now, unless the real Emperor appears in front of him, there is really no difference between himself and the Emperor. At this time, one of the natives also spoke. Your Majesty the Emperor, please go to our underground city. Your people want to see you in person. We have lost contact with Holy Terra for too long, and many people even question your existence. But please don't worry, those heretics have been punished by us. I strangled him with my own hands. The Emperor's Majesty does not allow anyone to question it, not even ourselves. If at any point our loyalty is no longer pure, we will kill ourselves with the bayonets in our hands. Hearing these words, Chu Zhang couldn't help but sigh. The loyalty of these natives to the emperor reached a level close to fanaticism. Chu Zhang also agreed to his request. After all, he also planned to see how these natives lived on this purgatory-like planet. When they came to the entrance of a bunker, Chu Zhang heard the original natives shouting there before he entered. "Everyone, His Majesty the Emperor has come to see us." As soon as these words came out, the entire bunker fell into a dead silence. Then, a sound of ropes was heard coming from the depths of the bunker. Chu Zhang saw a large number of native people staring at Chu Zhang, as if they wanted to see a trace of the emperor in Chu Zhang. Being looked at by so many eyes, Chu Zhang couldn't help but feel embarrassed. In the end, Chu Zhang couldn't resist the attention of everyone, so he had to release the psychic power in the emperor's gene seed. The moment they saw the emperor's spiritual power appear, everyone fell to their knees. "I know that His Majesty the Emperor has never given up on us. Grandpa, have you seen it? His Majesty the Emperor came to see us. You are not wrong. His Majesty the Emperor has always protected us. Your Majesty, we are sinners, we allowed your territory to be defiled by the Zerg. We swear that we will fight to the last bit of our lives and drive these Zerg out of your territory." It's hard to imagine that the originally dead bunker was instantly filled with life because of Chu Yang's arrival. This is the cohesion brought by the emperor. Chu Zhang also looked at the natives in front of him and began to collect information. For Chu Zhang, these natives are eager to share all the secrets of their ancestors for 18 generations. This information is far clearer than what Huang told him. Even how many bunkers and population there are on this planet, Chu Zhang got the specific numbers from these natives. Finally, Chu Zhang also learned the name of this planet. This planet is called the Death World in the archives of Holy Terra. And this planet called the Death World is called Krieg. Dead World, Krieg. When Chu Zhang once again lit up the archives of the Dead World Krieg, Chu Zhang couldn't help but sigh. This planet is really, as the name suggests, an out-and-out world of death. Chu Zhang put away the data panel and looked at the many Krieg people. Later, Chu Zhang also said to one of the Krieg people, "Take me to see your residence." As soon as these words came out, the originally silent Kriegs also looked at each other. "Your Majesty, our residence is too filthy. It is a great honor for us to have you standing here. We do not want the filth of our residence to defile your holy body." It is obvious that these Kriegs have regarded the emperor as a godlike existence. If the emperor knew about this, he might feel helpless. He hopes that human beings can love themselves more and love the truth more. But in this desperate environment, the Kriegs have already regarded the emperor as the god who saves them. This was contrary to the emperor's ideals, but it was the Kriegs' only hope for survival. Chu Zhang said calmly, "Since this is the emperor's territory, how can I dislike it?" As soon as these words came out, many Kriegs also bowed their heads deeply. Yes, this is the emperor's territory. Even the emperor doesn't despise it, so what right do they have to despise this land? Many Kriegs moved out of the way, and Chu Zhang also walked into the underground bunker. As it continues to penetrate deeper, Chu Yang's armor also indicates that the radiation level is also declining rapidly. The existence of these bunkers also isolates a lot of radiation from the outside. When Chu Zhang arrived at this underground city, he couldn't help but be shocked by the sight in front of him. There are a large number of Kriegs throughout the underground city. However, these Kriegs looked indifferent and lifeless. It is hard to imagine that there are so many Kriegs living in such a huge underground city. However, they did not make a sound and sat silently doing their own things from beginning to end. Perhaps this is the daily life of the Kriegs. Just surviving in this purgatory-like land has consumed most of their energy. Chu Zhang continued to walk deeper into the underground city until their eyes fell on an arena. In the arena, several Krieg young men were fighting. But the fight between them can be described as deadly, bloody and extremely brutal. At this time, Chu Zhang finally understood. Why did the Kriegs he saw remain calm when facing the attack of sandworms, and could even fight back? Under such wolf education, every adult Krieg will be a qualified warrior. Chu Zhang did not interfere with the Krieg's way of life, because he knew that it was precisely because of this way of life that the Krieg had survived on this planet for so many years. If you interfere rashly, it will cause the Kriegs to develop in a worse direction. After Chu Zhong visited the entire underground bunker, one of the Kriegs also said to Chu Zhong, "Please rest assured, His Majesty the Emperor, we have united with many Krieg cities and expect to launch an attack on the insect hive in 3 days. We will kill all the Zerg without leaving a trace, and we will never let them continue to pollute your territory. Please believe us, for the glory of the Emperor, we are willing to sacrifice everything, even our lives." Seeing the many Kriegs ready to make a move, Chu Zhong was sure. If he asked these Kriegs to capture the insect nest now, they would attack without hesitation. Even though they know this is a life or death battle. But Chu Zhong would not do it. The lives of these Kriegs should be placed in a more important place than sacrificing themselves in vain. For example, during the recovery of L's home planet. Thinking of this, Chu Zhong also said to one of the Kriegs, "Have you located the location of the insect nest now?" "Yes, Your Majesty. According to the information we have detected, there is a master-level insect mother in the insect nest. Moreover, this master-level insect mother is already vaguely about to transform into a king-level insect emperor. Once the insect mother transforms into a king-level insect emperor, it will have powerful combat capabilities. It will cost a lot to kill it. Among the Zerg class, after the king insect transforms into a mother insect, it can possess extremely high wisdom. But although the insect mother possesses extremely high intelligence and can command the swarms of insects, her own strength is extremely weak. Usually, a mother insect will have several king insects around her to protect her own safety. However, once the insect mother transforms into a king-level insect emperor, that will be a qualitative improvement. The king-level insect king will not only have extremely high intelligence, but his body will also have extremely powerful combat capabilities. According to rumors, a king-level insect king can annihilate an entire planet. Therefore, the insect mother is at its most vulnerable during the process of transforming into a monarch-level insect emperor. At this time, all the corpses will return to the defense to protect the insect mother. The reason why Krieg is so calm now is that except for a few sandworms, there is no trace of any Zerg at all. This is precisely because the insect mother is currently undergoing transformation. Therefore, many Kriegs in several Krieg cities are also preparing to take this opportunity to directly wipe out the insect nest. Now that all the Zerg are gathered together, it's a great time for them to take action. At this time, Chu Zhong also decided to help the Kriegs clear out the insect nest. Although these Kriegs have strong fighting capabilities, compared to the Zerg, they are still a bit underwhelming. If they want to completely eliminate the insect nest, they will definitely have to pay a very heavy price. For Chu Zhong, every Krieg is a sharp weapon on the future battlefield. If there are too many losses here, then the gains outweigh the losses. Therefore, at Chu Yang's request, many Kriegs also took Chu Zhong to the direction of the insect nest. On the way, Chu Zhong also learned about the current situation of the Zerg on Krieg. What is certain is that this is the only insect nest that exists on the entire planet Krieg. Because once a second insect mother exists, the two insect mothers will definitely fight to devour each other. Once the opponent is devoured, the chance of evolving into a king-level emperor will be greater. But this insect mother never left the nest. In other words, apart from this insect mother, there is no other insect mother. Chu Zhong was relieved. As they got closer and closer to the insect nest, the surrounding environment became worse and worse. Warning: radiation levels are rising, please pay attention to protective mouth. At this moment, the armor's protection system also reminded Chu Zhong that the radiation value here was rising rapidly. What can cause this can only mean that there is a very large radiation source nearby. Chu Zhong is almost certain that this radiation source is the insect nest. Sure enough, the Zerg race can thrive no matter where it is. On such a harsh planet, apart from the tenacious Kriegs, only these neutrons can survive unharmed. With that said, Chu Zhong also came to the edge of a cliff. Standing here, Chu Zhong looked into the distance. He saw a huge insect nest towering into the clouds, and the distance also appeared in his field of vision. This is not so much an insect nest as it is a giant tower. Various nuclear energy materials were used by the Zerg to build such a huge insect nest. Many Zerg feed on these nuclear wastes and use radiation as a source of energy. Now, they are no longer afraid of the erosion of radiation, and can even use this radiation to arm themselves. Chu Zhang took out a telescope and carefully observed the current situation of the insect nest. What he could see was that a large number of sandworms piled the collected nuclear waste at the bottom of the insect nest. Immediately afterwards, many Zerg transported nuclear waste to the Zerg nest. At this critical moment when the insect mother is still transforming, many Zerg races, except for the sandworms who are responsible for collecting supplies, are guarding the insect mother and never leave. After Chu Zhang observed a circle, he also put down the telescope in his hand. This is a bit tricky. He originally thought of using the sun bombardment of the Spear of Adon to directly blast the insect nest in front of him into ashes. But he never expected that this insect nest was completely made of a large amount of nuclear energy materials and nuclear waste. In other words, this insect nest itself is a super big Ivan. Looking at the huge insect nest towering like clouds, Chu Zhang was sure that if he used solar bombardment to detonate the insect nest now, then the impact of the insect nest explosion is enough to cover half of the Krieg star. It is hard to imagine what kind of horrific scene it would be if this land was once again enveloped by such a huge nuclear explosion. It seems that orbital bombing cannot be used to destroy these insect nests. At this time, the Krieg soldier next to him also took the initiative to ask for help. "Your Majesty, please let me deal with these Zerg." Before he could continue, Chu Zhang interrupted him directly. "Your battlefield is not here. To deal with these Zerg, Chu Zhang has better candidates." Chu Zhang turned around and looked at the short figure following him, Xiaoying. "Xiaoying, do you think you can deal with these Zerg?" Chu Zhang asked. Xiaoying nodded slowly, his deep eyes revealing endless coldness. "Your Majesty, I have a way, but it takes time and preparation." Chu Zhang took a deep breath and felt the increasing radiation in the air around him. "Then, we will give you time. But please do it as soon as possible. Don't let the insect mother complete its transformation." "Understood," Xiaoying responded. At this time, the Krieg soldiers following Chu Zhang looked around for possible invasion routes. One of the generals stepped forward and said to Chu Zhang, "Your Majesty, we can help Mr. Xiaoying create a position that confuses the enemy, attracts the attention of the Zerg, and creates opportunities for it." Chu Zhang pondered for a moment and nodded. "That's it." Under the command of Chu Zhang, the Krieg soldiers quickly formed two teams. One team was responsible for attracting the attention of the Zerg, while the other team was responsible for protecting Xiaoying. This area seems to have become a real battlefield. On the highly radioactive land, sand and dust are floating, and the figures of Krieg soldiers are moving quickly in the field of vision. At the bottom of the insect nest not far away, huge sandworms also became active, as if they had sensed something abnormal nearby. Chu Zhang stood on a small slope, his eyes fixed on the insect nest, while Xiaoying was quietly preparing next to him. "Your Majesty, we can start," Xiaoying whispered. Chu Zhang nodded, and then gave the order into the microphone, "Start taking action." Immediately afterwards, a Krieg team launched a fierce attack on the insect nest with intensive artillery fire and beams, and huge noises and explosions shook the land. As expected, the sandworms began to pour out of the nest and rushed towards the Krieg soldiers. The huge sandworm moved quickly on the sand, like an underground dragon. Under the pursuit of the Zerg, the Krieg team began to retreat, but their speed was deliberately slowed down to ensure that enough Zerg came out. At this time, Xiaoying started to act. He quickly approached the insect nest, and the team of Krieg soldiers following behind him tried their best to protect him and prevent any insect from getting close. Xiaoying's every step seemed determined. He took out a small device from his arms and quickly attached it to the surface of the insect nest. Then, he quickly retreated. When Chu Zhang saw this scene, he suddenly became nervous. He knew that this device was developed by Xiaoying himself and could produce special vibrations that could deal a fatal blow to the Zerg. When Xiaoying safely retreated to Chu Zhang, the device suddenly emitted a strong light. Immediately afterwards, the entire insect nest began to shake. Suddenly, a huge explosion sounded. The entire land seemed to be shaking. Huge explosions echoed in the area, the clouds were torn apart by shock waves, and the sky seemed to be swallowed up by the dazzling moment. Almost the next second after the vibration occurred, "Okay Zhao," a huge beam of light shot out from the insect nest and shot straight into the sky. Chu Zhang tightly grasped the rock beside him and squinted his eyes at the scene in front of him. Xiaoying, on the other hand, stood aside expressionlessly, as if everything was as expected. What is this? A Krieg soldier asked in horror. The insect mother's defense mechanism. Another soldier guessed. Chu Zhang turned to look at Xiaoying. Is this your plan? Xiaoying nodded. Yes, Your Majesty. But this is just the beginning, the most critical moment is yet to come. As the light beam gradually weakened, large cracks began to appear on the periphery of the insect nest, and green liquid emerged from the cracks, which was obviously the blood of the insect race. Chu Zhang was stunned. Insect mother. She should still be alive. Xiaoying said. He stretched out his hand, and a small detector flew out of his palm and flew quickly towards the insect nest. The Krieg soldiers nervously observed the movements of the insect nest. They knew that the next battle was the most critical. If the insect mother is still alive, then she will lead the Zerg to counterattack, and it will be a desperate battle. Chu Zhang turned his head and said to General Krieg on the side, Get ready, the Emperor may be sacrificed in this battle. Why? The general said solemnly, For the glory of the Emperor, we are willing to sacrifice everything. At this time, Xiaoying's detector was close to the center of the insect nest. The picture was transmitted to Chu Yang's eyes, and he saw a huge green vesicle in the center of the insect nest, which was obviously the mother insect. Your Majesty, the insect mother is still alive, and... Xiaoying paused, with a trace of worry on his face. She is undergoing her final transformation. Chu Yang's heart tightened. Then what should we do? Xiaoying pondered for a moment. I have a method, but I need Your Majesty's help. Say, Chu Zhang asked nervously. We need a powerful energy source to interrupt her transformation. If successful, she will lose her life during the transformation. Xiaoying explained. Chu Zhang thought quickly for a moment. The core energy of L's home planet. We can use it. Xiaoying nodded. Exactly. So, the two took action quickly, and Chu Zhang ordered the Krieg soldiers to protect the area and prevent any Zerg from escaping. And he and Xiaoying began to prepare for the upcoming battle. Time passed quickly, and when the sun rose again, everything was ready. Chu Zhang and Xiaoying BDED stood in front of the insect nest, each holding a sphere with blue light in their hands, which was the core energy of L's home planet. Chu Zhang took a deep breath, and then slowly walked towards the insect nest, every step appearing so determined. Xiaoying followed behind him, also without fear. Your Majesty, we need to place the core energy in the center of the insect hive to ensure that the energy can completely cover the entire insect hive. Xiaoying explained in a low voice. Chu Zhang nodded. I understand, but we need to ensure that the insect mother will not attack us when we place the core energy. At this time, a Krieg general stepped forward and bowed to Chu Zhang. Your Majesty, we can help you and Mr. Xiaoying go to the center of the insect nest. We have deployed a team around the insect nest to ensure your safety. Chu Zhang nodded gratefully. I'll spare your trouble. Subsequently, a group of Krieg soldiers followed Chu Zhang and Xiaoying, forming a tight defensive circle to ensure that they could successfully reach the center of the insect nest. Walking into the insect nest, both Chu Zhang and Xiaoying could feel the strong energy fluctuations around them. The air here is full of uneasiness, as if danger could happen at any time. Xiaoying held Chu Yang's hand tightly. Your Majesty, we are almost there. The two walked to a huge cave, which emitted a strong green light. Chu Zhang knew that this was the place where Yu Mu was transforming. Are you ready? Chu Zhang turned to look at Xiaoying. Xiaoying nodded with a serious expression. In just a few minutes, I will activate the core energy and then evacuate quickly. Chu Zhang took a deep breath, and then ordered the Krieg soldiers to prepare for battle. Under the guidance of Xiaoying, they began to head to the insect nest center. In the center of the insect nest, a huge green vesicle was suspended in the air, and something seemed to be slowly moving inside. Chu Zhang knew that it was the mother insect. Now, Xiaoying suddenly shouted, and he quickly threw the core energy towards Shang Pao. At this moment, the entire insect nest seemed to be still for a moment. Then, an intense blue light is emitted from the core energy source and hits the vesicle directly. A strong vibration immediately erupted in the center of the insect nest. Chu Zhang and Xiaoying quickly retreated, and the Krieg soldiers quickly formed a defense line to prepare for possible attacks. The shaking lasted for a while and then gradually subsided. But both Chu Zhang and Xiaoying knew that this was just the prelude to the storm. It seems that the insect mother has not been completely eliminated. Xiaoying whispered, we need more time. Chu Yang's pupils shrank. He looked at the center of the insect nest and felt the strong aura coming from there. He asked deeply, Xiaoying, what are your plans? Xiaoying pondered for a moment and said, Your Majesty, although we have temporarily delayed the transformation of the insect mother, it does not mean that we have won. We need a stronger energy source or a perfect strategy. At this moment, a roar suddenly came from the depths of the insect nest, shaking the entire insect nest. Then, hundreds of small sandworms poured out of the nest and rushed towards the Krieg soldiers like a torrent. The Krieg soldiers quickly formed a battle formation, and laser guns and beam cannons fired at the surging sandworms. Although they fought hard, some sandworms still broke through the line and attacked Chu Zhang and Xiaoying. A cold light flashed in Chu Yang's eyes. He pulled out the long sword beside him, and fought side by side with Xiaoying to resist Shachi's attack. But there were too many sandworms, and soon they were surrounded by sandworms. Your Majesty, we need to retreat. Xiaoying shouted in a low voice. Chu Yang's eyes flashed with determination and he said, No, we can't retreat. We must complete the mission. At this time, a Krieg general rushed over and shouted, Your Majesty, leave quickly, I will break the rear. Chu Yang's eyes showed gratitude. He nodded, and he and Xiaoying rushed towards the exit of the insect nest. The Krieg soldiers firmly defended this area, although they knew that this might be their last battle. While Chu Zhang and Xiaoying were running, dozens of sandworms blocked their way ahead. At this time, Xiaoying suddenly took out a strange device from his arms and pressed the button on the sandworm. In an instant, these sandworms seemed to be fixed in place, unable to move. Chu Zhang looked at Xiaoying in surprise. What is this? Xiaoying smiled slightly. It's my newly developed freezing device, which can temporarily incapacitate sandworms. The two took the opportunity to break through the siege of sandworms, but new sandworms emerged from the insect nest in the distance, and the number was even greater than before. Chu Zhang and Xiaoying seemed to be in the midst of an army of sandworms, with almost no hope. At this moment, a huge beam of light suddenly appeared in the sky, hitting the insect nest directly. Several Krieg fighter planes flew out of the beam and began to attack the sand. It's the Krieg Air Force, Chu Zhang said happily. Xiaoying looked solemn. Your Majesty, although we have temporarily received support, we still need to find a way to completely eliminate the insect mother. Chu Zhang pondered for a moment and suddenly said, I have a plan, but I need your help. Xiaoying looked at Chu Zhang in confusion. What plan, Pill? I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.